Chapter 15-17. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. Although the desolate God Clan powerhouse had suppressed the Silver Six-Winged, it was obvious that the desolate God Clan could not cause any harm to the Silver Six-Winged. It was very likely that the Silver Six-Winged had deliberately allowed the opponent to suppress it so as to lower the opponent's alertness. In the end, the opponent would not be able to escape and would be completely killed. This was just like the Golden Six-Winged. In the beginning, it did not use any particularly powerful means. It suddenly erupted with its full strength and killed the Silverstone clan directly. The Silverstone clan did not have the slightest chance to resist. Just as Long Yu had expected, the six-winged silver-winged man immediately unleashed his Dominator-level strength. He did not give the desolate god any chance to retaliate and completely suppressed his opponent. Then, he killed him with the power of thunder and lightning divine text at the revelation level. After the silver six-winged killed its opponent, it and the golden six-winged were teleported away by the light of the eroding moon ancient region. Obviously, they were going to the next checkpoint. Before the golden six-winged was teleported away, it once again paid attention to Long Yu. Obviously, because Long Yu paid attention to the silver six-winged, the golden six-winged also noticed him. However, in the eyes of the golden six-winged, humans should not be too distinguishable. For example, when Long Yu looked at the six-winged clan, there was really no other difference except for the color of the wings. Therefore, apart from the characteristic of being a third-stage great ruler, Long Yu should not have any external characteristics in the eyes of the golden six-winged clan. If there was anything, it would be the black clothes he wore. Among all the clans that wore clothes accounted for about half of them. The six-winged clan was one of the clans that wore clothes. However, they did not wear clothes. Instead, they wore a special kind of armor. Be it the silver six-winged clan or the golden six-winged clan, they all wore snow-white streamlined armor that covered their bodies under their six wings. Because of this, they looked beautiful. As for the foreign god clans like the Ice God Clan and the Desolate God Clan, they did not have the concept of wearing clothes. Basically, other than the Ice God Clan, the other outer god clans were relatively ugly. The Ice God Clan was in the form of hexagonal ice crystals, which were relatively beautiful. Of course, in this world, beauty really didn't matter much. The key was still strength. After the two six-wingers left, Long Yu discovered that Consort Yu and Moon Song had already finished off their opponent. The two women had also seen the entire hive battle and focused their attention on Red Oriole, who was still in battle. Red Oriole fought against a 7th phase Great Dominator. In the end, she forcibly broke through and awakened the absolute beginning divine tier demon blood 6 wings to the peak of the 12th layer. She relied on the demon shadow binding and 1,000 soul locking techniques to restrain her opponent. Then, he activated the 12th level awakening skill of the 6 demon blood wings. The extremely dense power of the blood-red divine runes condensed into a huge treasured sword that slashed toward the opponent, directly slashing the opponent's spirit and soul into pieces. The power of Red Oriole's move was even stronger than Moonsong's Starry Sky Shattering Slash. After all, it was a 12th level awakening skill, while Starry Sky Shattering Slash was only an 11th level awakening skill. Killing the opponent in one move, Long Yu's group of 4 successfully passed this stage. Unfortunately, the opponents of Consort Yu and Moon Song had chosen to withdraw on their own, saving their own lives. This meant that the two women's points did not increase. When they passed this stage, they would have 10 points deducted. This situation was a little awkward. This way, Consort Yu would only be left with 63 points, while Moon Song would be left with 56 points. The two of them had relatively low points. If their luck was not good, they might not even make it to the advancement area. If possible, Senior Consort Yu, you should kill more foreign races. Moon Song you too, Lu Xing said. Long Yu said in a low voice. Moon Song's low points were because she had killed fewer monsters. On the other hand, Consort Yu had spent 20 points to activate the roulette during the previous stage. She had obtained the cultivation method for the 4th to 6th stages of the assimilation field, so she had lost quite a lot of points in one go. Let's continue. The 4 of them had already been teleported to the next stage. However, this stage was not a room like the previous one, but a passageway. This passageway was very wide, as if they had arrived at a palace. The passageway extended in all directions, and at a glance, they could see that there were many forks in the road. This made the 4 of them understand that this should be the most basic chaotic competition checkpoint. The previous stages they had passed were all confrontation stages. In the past, when the eroding moon ancient region opened, there weren't many confrontation stages. This time, however, there was a series of confrontation stages. Coupled with the beehive battle stage, many foreign races were eliminated. Next, they finally reached the chaotic competition stage. In the chaotic competition stage, there wouldn't be any further teleportation. Instead, they just had to walk all the way from the starting area to the advanced area. Every time they advanced, 10 points would be deducted, and it would be considered as passing a small stage. As they continued along the way, the treasure chests would appear randomly in the passageway or in some rooms. The competitors wouldn't be the same as before. Instead, it was likely that many experts from different foreign races would be competing for it. Of course, there might also be places where no one was competing for the treasure chest. Everything depended on luck. The 4 of them appeared at the same entrance and continued along the passageway. There were many forks in the passageway, and it was very likely that they would encounter other foreign races. If it was easier to deal with, Long Yu's group would definitely kill it to increase their points. If it was stronger, it would be their turn to run. Based on Long Yu's group's current abilities, if they just wanted to run away, very few foreign races could catch up to them. Even the silver and golden 6-winged monsters they had encountered previously might not be able to catch up to Long Yu's group. Most importantly, when the chaotic competition stage started, the various foreign races wouldn't be as strong as before. If they couldn't beat Long Yu, they could run. They wouldn't be eliminated, and they didn't have to fight to the death. Even the golden 6-winged monsters would take too much time to catch up to Long Yu. They would also choose to do something else instead of chasing after Long Yu. This was the same for most of the cultivators participating in the eroding moon ancient region. The 4 of them continued to advance, and they soon discovered traces of a group of foreign races. The group consisted of 3 experts from the wood god race, and all 3 of them were peak 7th stage sovereign realm experts. This kind of group was rare in the eroding moon ancient region. In the previous confrontation stages, the eroding moon ancient region would arrange for some teams with similar strength to fight against each other. But now it was different. Originally, Long Yu thought that they would be able to fight against each other until they reached the advancement area. Now it seemed that it was impossible. In the end, they might still encounter the 2 6-winged monsters. Of course, the 6-winged foreign race also had 200 experts participating in the eroding moon ancient region this time. Even if they encountered the golden and silver 6-winged monsters, they might not be the pair of super geniuses that Long Yu saw. The number of people who could pass the beehive battle was at least 1/3 of the original number, which was about 3,000 people. Most of the 3,000 people had appeared in this chaotic competition stage. One could imagine how intense the competition was. Moreover, the possibility of encountering a specific opponent was not high. When Long Yu's group of 4 left the beehive, Long Zitian and Qi Beifei had also left. Perhaps they would encounter each other in this chaotic competition stage. Due to the order in which they had entered this chaotic and competitive checkpoint, there might already be people who had passed it and were heading towards the advancement area. After all, Long Yu and the other 3 had to cultivate and assimilate their positions. They had spent a total of 14 days in the previous checkpoint. These 14 days were enough for the other party to pass through this chaotic competition stage. However, this did not mean that all the treasure chests in this passage had been taken away. On one hand, even the experts who came to this place earlier were unlikely to spend too many points to open these treasure chests. On the other hand, the treasure chests in this passage would be constantly refreshed. Every once in a while, the eroding moon ancient region would put a certain number of treasure chests in these passages. Even if one wanted to use the remaining points to obtain the treasure, it was also possible. However, once the points were reset, they would be sent out. However, most people who could come to this place wanted to go to the advancement area of the eroding moon ancient region. After all, although the competition in the advancement area was more intense, the items there were more useful and precious. For example, if one obtained a divine source item in the starting area, it would basically be broken. However, if one obtained a divine source item in the promotion area, then it would definitely be in perfect condition. A normal defensive type divine source item's defensive capabilities were at least twice as strong as the cross-star pendant that Red Oriole was currently wearing. The three wood god race experts appeared in another passage parallel to them. There were several forks in the passage, but Long Yu's group of 4 didn't go over because there was no need to clash with the other party. The main reason was that the other party had 3 peak 7th phase sovereigns. For Long Yu's group of 4, it was still a little difficult. As long as it wasn't an opponent that they could deal with quickly, the 4 of them wouldn't make a move. After all, it was very likely that they would be surrounded by other foreign races if they continued fighting. If that happened, it would not be worth it. There's a treasure chest in front. It looks like we will encounter the 3 wood god race experts. Soon, Consort Yu looked ahead and saw a white jade chest in the middle of the passage. Although its value was not as high as the purple crystal chest, it could still open a decent treasure. I'll go open the chest. You guys stop the other foreign races first, said Long Yu to everyone. Then, he immediately flew towards the white jade chest and used void traversal. Even in the eroding moon ancient region, teleportation techniques like void traversal could only travel a distance of 300 meters. However, Long Yu was still able to arrive in front of the white jade chest. Chapter 1518. Long Yu directly teleported to the vicinity of the white jade chest, and then looked around. He discovered that the white jade chest just happened to appear in the middle of a crossroad, and from all 4 directions, there were actually demonic tribe members rushing over. Long Yu's heart trembled. He knew that the situation was not good. Just the 3 peak 7th stage dominator experts from the wood god race on the left were more than enough to deal with. Not to mention the 2 peak 7th stage dominator experts from the abyss race on the right and the 2 soul race experts from the front. All 4 directions and 4 races had their eyes on the white jade chest. Although Long Yu was the first to arrive, if he were to directly open the chest, not only would he consume 10 points, there was a possibility that the items in the chest would be snatched away by others. Moreover, he would also be besieged by the other 3 clans. The gains would not make up for the losses. Retreat. Long Yu did not hesitate and immediately retreated. After all, he was only a 3rd stage dominator. If he was a peak 7th stage dominator, he wouldn't need to be afraid of these foreign races. He would be able to stop one side by himself. If he cooperated with Consort Yu and the others, they could easily monopolize the white jade chest and kill a lot of foreign races for points. Unfortunately, Long Yu's cultivation was not high, so he could only retreat. After Long Yu retreated, one of the wood god race's members rushed forward at lightning speed and took the white jade chest away. Just as the others were about to attack, the other 2 wood gods behind them extended their arms. The wood element's primordial energy surged out and formed a formation in the middle of the battlefield. Within this magic array, everyone in the surroundings fell into an illusion. The formation's power was not strong. Even Red Oriole and Moon Song only needed 2 breaths of time to escape from the illusion. However, the 3 wood god race's members had disappeared without a trace. It was obvious that they had left after obtaining the chest. They did not want to waste any time. Long Yu watched as the other party left. Because of his world-purifying body, he wasn't affected by the illusion array. After all, it was an instantaneous illusion array. Its strength was relatively weak and couldn't affect Long Yu. However, he didn't stop the three wood gods from leaving. Instead, his target was the two soul race beings. This was because if Long Yu wanted to finish off the soul race, it would be relatively fast, especially with the current Red Oriole. Red Oriole had awakened her demonic blood 6 wings to the 12th level, and that awakening skill was rather powerful. A giant blood-red sword could deal damage to the enemy's soul that was no less than Long Yu's 4 symbols death prison. After all, Long Yu had not cultivated the 4 symbols killing prison to a very high level. He was still far from truly constructing the 4 symbols killing prison. At most, he could only condense the lines of death. Let's attack the Soul Race clansmen on the left. Long Yu gestured to Red Oriole, and the two of them instantly dashed forward. Long Yu had long since been prepared for this. The 9 Hells sphere condensed and floated above his head, entangling and restricting the movements of any enemies around him. Even though it couldn't stop the enemy from moving, it could slow them down by 20 to 30%. Even the Peak Abyss Race and Soul Race clansmen, who were both 7th stage sovereigns, were slowed down by 2 beat. At this time, Red Oriole followed up. 1,000 soul locking gates completely locked the 7th stage sovereign soul race clansmen on the left. For at least 3 breaths of time, that soul race clansman wouldn't be able to move. It had to be known that this was the technique of a grade 1 god array. 4 symbols death prison. As Long Yu's countless lines of death condensed and entangled the soul race clansmen, Red Oriole also condensed a giant blood-red sword that slashed down from the void. As Long Yu's lines of death wrapped around the soul race clansman, it directly sliced that soul race clansman into pieces. However, things didn't develop as Long Yu had expected. After that soul race clansman was sliced into pieces, it didn't die just like that. Instead, it split into countless parts and surrounded Long Yu. This sort of soul disintegration technique shocked Long Yu. The other party was actually able to survive even after its soul had been disintegrated. It was even able to attack him in such a state. It was truly shocking. This was something that Long Yu had never seen before. However, Long Yu wasn't worried. After all, the soul race clansmen's attacks were all mental attacks. Long Yu had the worldly purification body. Even if the other party was a powerful 7th stage sovereign soul race clansman, it wouldn't be able to injure Long Yu much. When Long Yu saw so many broken souls surrounding him and constantly launching mental attacks at him, he immediately activated the real illusion domain. The illusory domain turned him and Red Oriole into nothingness. In the next instant, the other peak 7th stage Sovereign Realm Soul Race expert launched an attack. Boundless Wood Element Absolute Beginning Power instantly condensed into a giant spiritual body that appeared on the battlefield. This enormous consciousness astral was like an invisible tree. Its branches constantly shot out in all directions, and its targets weren't just Long Yu and Red Oriole's group of 4. It also included the other 2 7th-phase sovereigns from the Abyss race. The Abyss race was still afraid of the Soul race. This was mainly because the Abyss race's mental power was weak. The physical power that the Abyss race was proud of was useless against the Soul race. Therefore, when the 2 Abyss race rulers saw this happen, they immediately retreated. However, they didn't leave immediately. Instead, they stared at Consort Yu and Moon Song. Although the 2 sides were separated by the enormous consciousness soul, the Abyss race rulers only needed to circle around and attack Consort Yu and Moon Song from behind. Although Long Yu's group had 4 people, one was a 3rd stage sovereign, one was a 5th stage sovereign, and the last was a 6th stage sovereign. To the Soul race and Abyss race rulers, they were excellent targets to kill. If they could kill them, they would gain a lot of points. Those 3 wood gods have taken advantage of us. Long Yu, who had transformed into nothingness, didn't expect the current situation to turn out like this. as expected of the foreign race's geniuses that could enter the eroding moon ancient region. These fellows had all passed through many of the eroding moon ancient region's checkpoints to reach this chaotic and competitive checkpoint. Every single one of them had extremely strong strength and survivability, and they had many different methods. Just the methods that the two soul race rulers used were things that Long Yu's group of 4 had never seen before. Even Consort Yu hadn't seen a soul race ruler use such a method of disintegration or summoning a giant consciousness soul. Right now, even if Long Yu used the world-cleansing soul mirror to reflect the opponent's soul attack, he felt that he wouldn't be able to kill the two of them. If he reflected it to the former, the latter was already in a soul fragment state. Stronger attacks would only make it smaller. If he reflected it to the latter, he would only be able to destroy the giant consciousness soul at most. He wouldn't be able to kill the soul race ruler's main body. Something like the world-cleansing soul mirror could only be used once, and the opponent wouldn't fall for it again. Therefore, Long Yu couldn't use it so easily. The two members of the Abyss race retreated, so they must have taken a detour to attack Concubine Yu and Moon Song. Calculating the time, they would probably arrive in about 10 breaths' time. After all, there were many paths in this chaotic and competitive checkpoint. They could easily find them by taking a detour. If they were really surrounded, the 4 of them would have a hard time escaping alive. "Everyone, come here," Moon Song shouted. Starry divine runes lit up all over her body. Consort Yu didn't hesitate. She approached Moon Song, and Long Yu and Red Oriole did the same. Soon, the 4 of them were enveloped in the radiance of the starry divine runes. Starlight of the 9 firmaments. An unbounded high-grade martial technique was activated. The starry divine runes flashed, and the 4 of them were teleported 1,000 meters away. At the same time, a portion of the soul race ruler's disintegrated soul fragment was brought over. Kill. Long Yu didn't hesitate. He activated the 4 aspects Death Prison and coordinated it with Red Oriole's blood-red sword. He wanted to obliterate this portion of the soul race ruler's soul fragment. The lines of death continued to twist and corrode the soul fragment. The soul fragments wanted to escape, but they couldn't. The power of death corroded them, and they quickly lost their life force. "I added 3 points," Long Yu said awkwardly. "I added 2 points." Red Oriole was helpless. The 2 of them had only killed half of the soul race ruler's soul. That was why they had only added 2 points. Now that they had used 9 firmaments star flash to teleport 300 meters away, they were temporarily safe. After all, the soul race and Abyss race ruler wanted to pincer attack them. Now that Long Yu's group of 4 had escaped, even if the soul race ruler caught up, they wouldn't be able to catch up at the same time. If they caught up separately, it was highly likely that they would be killed separately by Long Yu's group of 4. Therefore, as expected, the soul race ruler didn't pursue them. Even the peak 7th phase soul race ruler they had killed didn't have any intention of taking revenge. Instead, it chose to retreat. No one didn't care about their own lives. That soul race ruler was no different. After losing half of its mental power, its combat strength was greatly reduced. It chose to retreat and was teleported out of the eroding moon ancient region. If it continued to fight, the chances of obtaining any benefits were too low. Moreover, it was very likely that it would be killed. Even if it retreated now, it would still take several years for the half-dead soul tribe member to fully recover. Disintegrating soul fragments was an extremely dangerous method to begin with. Since Moon Song had teleported the soul tribe member away, it had no time to react. Half of its soul fragments had already been destroyed. "Let's go." Consort Yu shook her head. She didn't want to turn around and kill the soul race and Abyss race ruler. She turned around and continued forward. After such a chaotic battle, the 4 of them knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy. After 9 firmaments star flash teleported them 300 meters away, the 4 of them lost another 10 points. It seemed that they had traveled quite a distance. They didn't have many points left. If they wanted to persist to the next region, they couldn't turn back. This was because the points lost in the chaotic competition were based on distance. If they turned back, it would be very difficult to persist to the next region unless they killed more foreign races. Even so, there was no need to turn back. If they continued forward, there might be a better opportunity to kill the foreign races. In short, the four of them could only continue forward. If they turned back, the situation might become even worse. Chapter 15:19. A purple crystal chest appeared to the left of Long Yu and the others. It seemed like no one was competing for this chest for the time being. This made Long Yu and the others look at each other. Long Yu was the first to move forward. Since he had the highest score, he was the most suitable to open this chest. Long Yu's figure flashed and arrived near the purple crystal chest. With a single glance, he saw a small team of outsiders rushing over 200 to 300 zhang away. In another direction, there were even 2 demon race experts rushing over. These 2 demon race experts were peak 7th stage sovereign realm existences. Long Yu found them somewhat familiar, but he didn't know their names. The other party was quite far away. Even if they kept teleporting, it would take at least 2 breaths to reach the purple crystal chest. Long Yu didn't hesitate and opened the purple crystal chest. He found a first-grade heaven crystal grade creation item inside. This item was quite useful for the current Long Yu. Not only did it contain a large amount of creation power, but it also had some random special effects. Just the power of creation within it was enough for Long Yu to increase his cultivation by 1 level. He had been working hard to reach the 4th stage of the Great Dominator realm, but he had never had enough power of creation. Now it was just right. Let's go. However, Long Yu naturally couldn't start absorbing this first-grade heaven crystal grade creation item on the spot. He stored the purple crystal into his small world and immediately teleported to the other 3 women. Then, Moon Song brought the 3 of them and used 9th Firmament Star Flash again. In the next instant, the 4 of them were 100 meters away. It was basically impossible for others to catch up to them. It's a first-grade heaven crystal grade creation item. It's worth at least 100 million battlefield merit points. Long Yu said excitedly. Then, he began to absorb the creation power inside. As he moved forward, his small world kept expanding. As long as he didn't encounter any battles, his actions wouldn't affect his movements. If he encountered a battle, he could only stop for a while. Our luck isn't bad. Let's strive to reach the 4th phase Dominator level. Our overall strength will be even stronger. Consort Yu said with satisfaction. Actually, we're not far from the advancement area. Whether he can reach the 4th phase Dominator or not doesn't really matter to us. Why don't you wait until we reach the advancement area and absorb this creation item yourself? Red Oriole giggled and said to Long Yu. That won't do. Now that I'm distracted, you guys can help me defend. If I'm alone in the advancement area, I can't afford to be distracted. Long Yu chuckled as he continued to absorb the power of creation within the item of creation. Apart from containing a massive amount of creation energy, the creation item also contained pure fire-based primordial power. Absorbing all of the primordial power would increase the cultivator's understanding of the fire-based primordial power. Unfortunately, Long Yu wasn't familiar with fire elemental primordial power, so comprehending it was useless. Of course, this thing could not be absorbed separately from the power of creation. Therefore, even if it was useless, Long Yu could only absorb it together and gradually improve his understanding of the fire primordial power. Of course, even if he absorbed all the fire primordial power in this item of creation, Long Yu would at most comprehend 10% of the fire primordial power. After all, it was not easy to comprehend the primordial power. It would be great if it was the metal element, Long Yu thought. If he could comprehend more of the metal element primordial power, his strength would increase further, unlike the fire element primordial power, which was more awkward and useless to him. The four of them continued to move forward, following a team of the Ice God clan. The four of them had the deepest understanding of the Ice God clan, but correspondingly, the other party also had an extremely deep understanding of the Human clan and the Demon clan. If they fought, it was hard to tell who would win. However, in this team of Ice God clan, there were 2 peak 7th level sovereigns, and 2 6th level sovereigns. For Long Yu and the others, they were a good target. Most importantly, one of the peak 7th level sovereigns was injured. It looked like it was difficult for him to move, and his chi and blood were not flowing smoothly. This gave Long Yu and the others an excellent reason to attack. Attack! Consort Yu took a step forward, and with 2 flashes, she approached the team of Ice God clan that was 200 feet away. The divine demon sword chi wrapped around her body, and she slashed at the 4 Ice God clan members. No matter what, Consort Yu was in the top 50 of the nearly 10,000 people who participated in the eroding moon ancient domain in the Langya galaxy. Her strength was useless, and now that she made a move, she directly scattered the formation of the 4 Ice God clan members. Moon Song, with Long Yu and Red Oriole, suddenly arrived, and the starlight of 9 heavens star flash spread out, binding the 4 Ice God clan sovereigns. Sensing that Yu Fei's group of 4 wanted to harm them, the Ice God races team immediately reacted. Among them, the uninjured peak 7th phase Great Sovereign Realm Ice God races team released Frigid Ice Divine Runes. A wall of Frigid Ice Divine Runes and Spatial Divine Runes appeared behind them, separating them from Long Yu's group of 4. However, Long Yu raised his hand and revealed 9 Nether Divine characters, 9 Nether Path. The 9 Nether Divine characters condensed into a pitch-black beam of light, instantly piercing through the ice wall formed from the combination of 9 Nether Divine characters, disintegrating all the spatial god characters within it. Then, Consort Yu's divine demon sword chi descended, blasting the ice wall into pieces. The opponents took advantage of this opportunity to teleport 100 meters away. However, Moon Song's movements were not slow either, and she continued forward with 9 heavens star flash. At the same time, the ancient dragon skeleton tower appeared, and the absolute space domain covered the entire area. This absolute space domain had a pretty good effect in preventing others from leaving. However, there was one problem. After the absolute space domain was activated, everything within a radius of 100 zhang would be within the range of the absolute space domain. Others would not be able to enter. Long Yu and the others would not be able to leave either. If other foreign races wanted to pass through the nearby passage, they would not be able to directly pass through, unless they destroyed the absolute space domain. In such a chaotic and competitive situation, it was very easy to attract enemies, but now was not the time to worry about it. Because of the several teleportations just now, everyone's points had been reduced by 10. This meant that Moon Song, who had the lowest points in the group, only had 36 points left. If they still could not kill some foreign races, it was very likely that they would not be able to last until the advancement area's entrance. After the absolute space domain was activated, Long Yu immediately activated the 9 Hells Sphere, and Red Oriole used her high-grade unbounded martial skill, Demon Shadow Binding. Countless blood-colored lines suddenly appeared, condensing in the void, and bound up the 2 6th phase Sovereign Realm Ice Gods. Void Grasp. Long Yu condensed an invisible hand with Forest Devil God characters and grabbed one of the 6th phase Sovereign Realm Ice God. While sealing its power, the Forest Devil God characters exploded inside its body, causing significant damage to its soul. Next, Moon Song was left to deal with this ice god. She should be the one to kill more foreign races, otherwise she would be teleported out midway. Stars Scatter Chessboard, Astral Soul Lock, and other second-grade god arrays trapped the ice god. Moon Song then used her strongest attack, the Star-Breaking Sky Slash. She wanted to kill the ice god once and for all. However, the ice god wasn't that weak. Even though he'd first suffered the restraints of the demonic Shadowbind and the sphere of the ninth hell, and then suffered a mental shock from the Dragon Emperor's limitless grasp, his combat strength still existed. Moreover, he possessed an extremely strong battle instinct and reaction speed. When the star-shattering slash landed on its head, a layer of ice divine characters appeared around it, blocking the star-shattering slash. Even though the layer of ice divine characters was directly shattered by the star-shattering slash, it still bought it some time to catch its breath. An ice divine character appeared on its hexagonal ice crystal. It was clearly a absolute beginning divine art, and it had awakened to an extremely high level. The 12th level awakening. Moonsong's heart skipped a beat when she saw this. She knew that her opponent was not weak. Even if they fought one-on-one, she might not be able to win. As soon as the ice divine character appeared on its hexagonal ice crystal, waves of cold air swept across the area. Not only did it envelop Moonsong, but it also enveloped Long Yu and the other two. This was the opponent's 11th level awakening skill. Under the waves of cold air, Long Yu and the other three slowed down by at least 20%. Even Long Yu, who had the lowest cultivation realm, slowed down by 30%. This included the speed at which the power within his body was condensed. The effects of the cold air were similar to Long Yu's 9 Hells sphere. However, the 9 Hells sphere wasn't that easy to compare to. This was Long Yu's 8th mystique. Among all the people participating in the Eclipse Moon Ancient region, who else besides Long Yu had the 8th mystique? As Long Yu manipulated the 9 Hells sphere, most of its power swept towards the ice god that Moonsong was fighting. The terrifying power completely wrapped around the ice god, and the power of the revelation-grade divine character of the 9 Hells kept corroding its body. The 9 Hells sphere could devour the power of a foreign race. Long Yu knew this very well. After devouring the ice god, the 9 Hells sphere's power would become even stronger. When Long Yu was on a training mission, he had used the 9 Hells sphere to devour some foreign races that were at the 7th stage dominator level. Every time it devoured, the 9 Hells sphere's power would increase by 1%. The effect was pretty good. Although the ice god before him had many tricks up his sleeve, he was still only a 6th stage dominator. Faced with the double attacks from Long Yu's 9 Hells sphere and Moonsong's star-splitting slash, the ice god gradually couldn't hold on. Finally, Moonsong comprehended that her divine character of the absolute beginning had awakened to the 12th level. The 12th level awakening skill was finally released. Chapter 1520. When Moonsong first met Long Yu and Red Oriole, she had already awakened her divine absolute beginning skill to the 11th level. Now, the divine absolute beginning crescent wheel around her body had finally awakened to the 12th level. She immediately used the 12th level awakening skill, Star Rupture. Boundless starry divine runes condensed together, forming a resplendent star in midair. Then, this resplendent star landed on the ice god race's body and immediately exploded. The terrifying destructive power immediately caused the ice god race's hexagonal crystal body to explode. In the end, the ice god wasn't devoured by Long Yu's 9 underworlds sphere. Instead, Moonsong's star rupture completely killed it without any room for struggle. Even though the Ice God clan had activated their defensive means at the last moment, they were still unable to withstand the star explosion. When a divine-grade absolute beginning skill was awakened to the next level, the first awakening skill was usually shockingly powerful. Moonsong condensed the power of Starburst into an extremely small space and easily killed the Ice God clan. The crescent wheel continued to condense boundless divine star runes. Not only did it kill the Ice God in front of her, but it also rushed into the battlefield and posed a threat to the other 3 Ice God Great Sovereigns. As soon as the Ice God died, the divine star runes binding Long Yu and the others disappeared. Whether it was Red Oriole, Long Yu, or Consort Yu, all 3 of them used their strongest techniques to deal with the Ice God in front of them. If they dragged this out for too long, the situation would be very disadvantageous for them. The other party was clearly enraged by the death of one. Boundless divine star runes condensed and exploded on the battlefield, continuously rushing over. However, Consort Yu's immortal demon barrier blocked it, unable to harm the three of them at all. Red Oriole continued to cooperate with Long Yu. The Boundless Grasp was a technique that was used 3 times in a row, directly dealing mental and spiritual damage to the 6th phase sovereign, the Ice God race. Immediately afterwards, Red Oriole used the demonic Shadowbind, completely binding the Ice God race member whose strength had been sealed. The gigantic blood-red sword descended with a loud rumble. The awakening skill of the Demon Blood 6 Wings, which had been awakened to the 12th level, flew out of Red Oriole's hands. It was not blocked by the physical body of the Ice God. Instead, it directly pierced through the Ice God, bringing out the mind and soul of the Ice God, completely shattering it. Red Oriole also killed an Ice God and received 10 points. Following that, Yu Fei suppressed a peak 7th stage Sovereign Realm expert from the Ice God race. The injured peak 7th stage Sovereign Realm expert from the Ice God race was left to Long Yu to kill. The 2 peak 7th phase Great Sovereign Realm Ice God race experts were thinking of running away. Unfortunately, with Long Yu's absolute space domain, how could they let them escape? Everyone continued to chase. Finally, Long Yu used 4 Symbols Death Prison to kill his opponent. Seeing the opponent's body being absorbed by the eroding moon ancient domain in a flash of white light, Long Yu's heart ached. As for Yu Fei, it wasn't too much of a problem for her to deal with a peak 7th stage Sovereign Realm Ice God race expert by herself. Following closely behind, Long Yu finished off his opponent. Coincidentally, all 4 of them had obtained 10 points in this pursuit. However, just as Concubine Yu was about to finish off the last 7th phase Dominator, the Ice God clan, 2 other squads of outsiders happened to come into contact with Long Yu's absolute space domain. It seemed as if they were trying to pass by, but were blocked. After Consort Yu killed her opponent, Long Yu immediately put away the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower. The absolute space domain also disappeared, making the 2 foreign race squads extremely angry. In this chaotic competition stage, who would want to be blocked by other people's methods? Not wanting to face the anger of the 2 foreign race squads, she immediately teleported forward with the 3 of them. In a flash, she crossed a kilometer, leaving behind a string of resplendent starry divine characters. Another 10 points were deducted from the 4 of them. She only had 36 points left. The situation was a bit urgent, but this place shouldn't be too far from the advancement area. Everyone continued to move forward. Soon, Long Yu saw a silver 6-winged clan and a golden 6-winged clan. They were opening an amethyst box. Seeing this scene, Long Yu and the others could only retreat far away. He didn't want to fight with them at this time. It was obvious that the other party wanted to attack Long Yu and the others. Unfortunately, Long Yu and the others immediately retreated and teleported forward. Soon, they disappeared without a trace. The 2 6-winged clan members couldn't do anything to Long Yu. Do we really need to be afraid of them? Red Oriole asked doubtfully. Of course. Although I can only see and not sense their strength in the hive, I know their strength. They are definitely not something we can deal with now. It's better to be safe. Long Yu said in a deep voice. That's right. After all, the 6-winged clan is one of the 3 strongest clans in the Langia Star region. Each of them is extremely powerful, not to mention the strength of that golden 6-winged clan. I'm afraid it has already reached the top 10 among the more than 9,000 people in the Langia galaxy. Consort Yu nodded and said solemnly, even that silver 6-winged clan's strength is not much different from mine. If we fight against those 2 6-winged clan members, we definitely won't be able to win. We are bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Moon Song pursed her lips and smiled. Who doesn't bully the weak and fear the strong? Long Yu smiled. If those two six-winged beasts encountered the super experts of other races, they would also avoid them. After all, this is just the starting zone. There's no need to fight with the enemy when they aren't confident. Everyone agreed with him. Continuing forward, it did not take long for the four of them to lose another 10 points each. It was then that the four of them finally saw the entrance to the leveling zone. It was roughly 1,000 zhang away from them. It was a white wall of light. It was not a teleportation array. As long as they passed through the white light screen wall, they would be able to reach the preparation area of the advancement area. In the preparation area, everyone would wait until everyone had left the starting area before they could set off to explore the advancement area. It didn't matter if they had entered the advancement area, died in the starting area, or directly exited the starting area. Only when the starting area was empty would the advancement area officially open. As Long Yu's group of four had arrived 14 days late, there was only half a month left until the deadline. The starting region would only last for a month at most. If they were unable to enter the advancement region within this period of time, they would have no choice but to withdraw. Because they had arrived a little late, Long Yu and the other three did not see too many people, nor did they see the experts of other tribes. They could be considered to be relatively lucky. There's a treasure chest in front. The four of them continued to move forward. When they saw a treasure chest, Red Oriole's heart stirred and she prepared to open the purple crystal chest. After all, Red Oriole's points were the highest. It didn't matter if 10 points were deducted. She still had 51 points, unlike Moonsong who only had 26 points. However, when the four of them approached the box, they discovered that there was actually a formation trap in the vicinity. It was condensed from space divine runes, and it was like a void domain that trapped them within. It's a trap. Let's go. Without any hesitation, Long Yu used the path of the Nine Nether towards the edge of the spatial array. A beam of pitch-black path of the 9 nether divine runes shot out like a mad dragon and began to disintegrate the power of the spatial array. At the same time, experts from the machine race surrounded them from all sides. The machine race was one of the 3 strongest races in the Langya galaxy. It was an existence that could be mentioned in the same breath as the 6-winged race. This alien race's entire body was made up of metal and steel. Every individual had different abilities. Their physical strength was comparable to the Abyss race, but they could use the power of the divine script. They were much stronger than the Abyss race. At this moment, the spatial divine runic array enveloped Long Yu's group of 4. The 4 of them were attacked from 3 directions by the machine race's experts. This purple crystal chest was actually a trap set by the machine race. However, Red Oriole didn't let go of this opportunity. She took the purple crystal chest and opened it. Quasi-divine source treasure. Without any hesitation, Red Oriole tossed the quasi-divine source item to Moonsong. After all, Moonsong had the least amount of defensive means, so she was most likely to encounter danger. Although she was fast and agile, most of the time, her opponent wouldn't give her the chance to escape. "I'll block them." Consort Yu snorted coldly. She turned around and condensed her divine demon sword chi into a thick defensive barrier. At the same time, the snow-white necklace around her fair neck once again released the snow-white glow of divine chi. Divine isolation. This level 11 awakening skill directly isolated the space in front of her from the space behind her. After the machine race's ferocious attacks broke through the divine demon sword chi barrier, they directly crashed into the isolated spatial crack. They couldn't attack Consort Yu at all. At this time, Long Yu continuously used the 9 underworlds path. In a mere 3 breaths' time, he had destroyed a hole in the opponent's spatial formation. "Let's go." The 4 of them didn't hesitate. They immediately jumped forward and escaped from the machine race's trap. The machine race's opponents didn't expect Long Yu's group of 4 to be so powerful. They were able to destroy their spatial formation barrier in 3 breaths' time. All of them were slightly surprised, but they weren't angry. After all, they had only failed once. These three machine races experts, who were at the peak of the 7th stage sovereign realm, had occupied this area and specifically attacked the foreign race's cultivators who wanted to advance to the advancement area. Naturally, their goal was to increase their points and allow them to advance further. It wasn't just this route. There were also other foreign races experts guarding the other routes that led to the advancement area. They were specifically here to kill the cultivators of other races and obtain points. Clearly, those who had the guts to set up an ambush on such a crucial route were all outstanding participants of the Eclipse Moon Ancient region. In a one-on-one battle, each of the three machine races experts had the strength to fight against Consort U, let alone when the three of them worked together. Chapter 1521. After passing through the traps set up by the three machines, the rest was a flat stretch of land. Moon Song led everyone in 9 Heavens Star Flash. Every time she flashed, she would appear more than 300 meters away. After a few leaps, they were already close to the white light screen. Come, let's go in. The four of them hit the white light screen one after another and disappeared from the starting area. Long Yu opened his eyes and found himself in a sealed room. Beside him were Consort Yu, Red Oriole, and Moon Song. They had just opened their eyes. I've increased by 100 points, Long Yu said. He had just arrived at the preparation area, and his score had increased by 100 points. This meant that he had arrived at the advancement area. However, he was still in the preparation stage. He had to wait until there was no one in the 3 starfields starting areas before the advancement area would officially open and the competition would begin. After increasing his score by 100 points, he wouldn't have to leave the advancement area so early. However, this place was much more dangerous than the starting area. Not only did it come from other alien races, but it also came from the existence of traps in the advancement area. There were many things that wouldn't appear in the starting area, but there were countless of them in the advancement area. Every time those traps appeared, there was a chance that cultivators would be killed. Let's get ready first. There's still at least half a month before the advancement area opens. After Consort Yu finished speaking, she went to the side alone to comprehend it. Long Yu nodded. He took out the Grade 1 Heaven Crystal Grade creation item and began to absorb it. Moon Song still had a Grade 1 Heaven Crystal Grade creation item that she hadn't finished absorbing. Now, she continued to absorb it. If she could expand her small world, her world power would also be stronger. This meant that her overall combat strength would increase. Long Yu's goal was naturally to increase his martial Dao realm by 1 level during this period of time. Currently, he was at the 3rd stage Great Ruler realm. Once he finished absorbing this 1st grade Heaven Crystal Grade creation item, he would at least step into the 4th stage Great Ruler realm. A Grade 1 Heaven Crystal Grade creation item contained more than 25 times the creation power of a Grade 3 Heaven Crystal Grade creation item. If Battlefield Army merit points could be bought, it would be worth at least 125 million Battlefield Army merit points. Moreover, this was only the value of the power of creation, not including the special power contained in it. This was just like how Long Yu's creation item contained fire elemental primordial energy. To cultivators who comprehended fire elemental divine glyphs, this item was worth at least 200 million. And this was something that could be found in any random purple crystal box in the eroding moon ancient domain. Moreover, this was one of the worst things that could be found in a purple crystal box. If it was a divine source item, even if it was broken, it would be worth at least 1 billion divine source stones. Of course, no matter what the purple crystal chest contained, these items were things that cultivators would never be able to see on a normal day. In the territories of the human race and the demon race, the items in the purple crystal boxes were extremely rare. Even for the 6-winged clan, it was not easy to see these items. Once they appeared, it would definitely lead to a round of intense competition. It was precisely because of this that the eroding moon ancient domain was so attractive. Long Yu continued to absorb the power of creation from the item of creation, expanding the territory of his small world. When he first stepped into the ruler's secret realm, his small world was at the level of 10 billion miles. After that, the size of his small world would increase by 10 billion miles with every increase in realm. When he reached the ruler's secret realm, his small world would be 30 billion miles. Now that Long Yu was a rank 3 ruler, the territory of his small world was 60 billion miles. Now that he was absorbing the power of creation, his small world was expanding to 70 billion miles. Long Yu recalled that the 9 underworlds was the small world that belonged to the Geo Dragon Emperor. The territory of that small world was more than 100 billion miles. According to Long Yu's knowledge before he was reincarnated into this world, this territory was roughly the size of a solar system. Now, Long Yu was still quite a distance away from the territory of 100 billion miles. The key was that the larger the territory of the small world, the more difficult it would be to expand the territory by 1 kilometer. Furthermore, it would require more power of creation to be consumed in order to expand the small world so much space out of thin air. From 60 billion miles to 70 billion miles, it required at least 100 million army merit points to expand the small world. If it wasn't for the fact that Long Yu happened to find a first-grade Heaven Crystal rank item of creation in the treasure chest, it would have been far too early for him to step into the rank 4 ruler's secret realm. If he didn't want to rely on the item of creation and instead cultivate it on his own, he would need at least 100 years to achieve this process. Of course, if he cultivated on his own, the comprehension of various powers during the process would be much greater than directly absorbing the power of creation. The foundation of his power would be more stable. To Long Yu, if he had enough talent, he didn't need to spend too much time stabilizing his cultivation. It would only take him about 1 or 2 months to familiarize himself with it. It had already been about 2 months since he stepped into the rank 3 ruler's secret realm. Absorbing the power of creation and stepping into the rank 4 ruler's secret realm wouldn't affect him much. As Long Yu continued to expand the territory of the small world, the recovery speed of the world's spirit energy in his small world became faster and faster. Long Yu thought about it and took some time to enter the small world to check. He found that there were indeed a few places in the small world that had quite serious spatial collapses. If he didn't repair them, the collapses would get bigger and bigger until the entire small world was swallowed up. This was the result of Long Yu activating the 8 extreme bloodline. Now, he could only use a portion of the power of creation to repair the collapsed space. Fortunately, there were no living beings in the collapsed space, so the loss wasn't too great. Otherwise, if the collapsed space was in the living area of the bone race or the new martial world, the situation would be very serious. Long Yu studied the location of the 8 extreme bloodline in his body and the location of the spatial collapse. He found that the two were still connected. He confirmed according to this relationship and knew that even if he fully activated the 8 extreme bloodline, the location of the spatial collapse wouldn't appear in the new martial world or the living area of the bone race. He was relieved. After confirming, Long Yu continued to leave the small world and continued to expand the territory of the small world. From expanding from 60 billion kilometers to 70 billion kilometers, Long Yu's world power had also improved a lot. Coupled with the breakthrough of the martial Dao realm, his basic power would increase by at least 3 times. If he could fight against ordinary 7th stage Great Dominator foreign races before, it would be even easier to deal with them after improving the martial Dao realm. Even if he encountered a peak 7th stage Great Dominator, he would be able to resist them to a certain extent. Of course, if he wanted to defeat a peak 7th stage Great Dominator alone, he still had to be a little bit weaker. Not to mention the top 10 geniuses of the Langia star field, such as the Golden 6 Wings. Long Yu was definitely not a match for them. According to Long Yu's estimation, he needed to be at least a 5th-stage Great Dominator to be able to resist the opponent's attack. If he were to encounter an expert of this level in the advancement area, Long Yu would have no choice but to flee. Given Long Yu's current abilities, if he wanted to flee, not many people would be able to stop him. About 7 days later, Long Yu finally finished absorbing the power of creation in the 1st-grade Heaven Crystal Grade creation item. While stepping into the 4th-stage Great Dominator realm, he also repaired the spatial collapse of the small world. This made Long Yu's strength skyrocket. He tried to spar with Consort Yu and found that when he stacked Battle Heavenly Power to 100 levels, Consort Yu needed 70% of her strength to completely block the Battle Dragon Fist. In other words, if Long Yu were to stack the Berserk Heavenly Power to 200 layers and then use the Berserk Dragon Fist, then even Yu Fei would be injured. Of course, if he were to use the Berserk Dragon Fist at 200 layers, Long Yu's fleshly body would not be able to withstand it and would shatter into pieces. Although the Battle Berserker Heavenly Body had reached the transformation realm and once again increased the strength of Long Yu's physical body, using the Berserker Dragon Fist placed a much greater burden on his body than using the Berserker Fist cannon. Currently, Long Yu could only barely withstand the 170 levels of the Berserker Heavenly Power. If it was any higher, he might be the first to collapse. His fist would shatter before the enemy was even hit. 170 floors was his limit. Therefore, no matter what, his attacks couldn't break through Consort Yu's defense. As long as Consort Yu used all her strength to condense the Divine Demon Sword Chi barrier, she would be able to block any attack from Long Yu. When he thought of how the 3 machines broke through Consort Yu's Divine Demon Sword Chi barrier in one move when he broke through to the advancement area, Long Yu knew that there was still a huge gap between him and a peak elite. On the other hand, now that Moon Song had completely absorbed the 1st-grade Heaven Crystal Grade creation item, the power of her small world had increased by quite a bit. She was only a short distance away from the 7th-stage Dominator realm. If she had another 1st-grade Heaven Crystal Grade creation item, Moon Song would be able to directly step into the 7th-stage Dominator realm. However, she had just increased her cultivation level not too long ago. Even if she obtained a creation item now, she didn't dare to absorb it to directly increase her cultivation level. Otherwise, she wouldn't be familiar with her own strength. If she increased her cultivation level without a stable foundation, her basic strength would be limited. Under normal circumstances, the increase of one's cultivation level could increase one's basic strength by 3 times. However, if she increased it without a stable foundation, it was very likely that she would only increase it by 2 or even 3 times. This would be a huge loss, so there was no need to pursue such a rapid increase. This was also the reason why Long Yu had to stabilize his cultivation level every time he increased his cultivation level. If he increased it too quickly, the effects would be bad, and he would regret it for the rest of his life. After the advancement area, we'll have to split up. Be careful. If you can't do it, just choose to leave. Long Yu said to the 3 girls solemnly. Of course, he was mainly speaking to Red Oriole and Moon Song. Chapter 1522. Consort Yu's strength ranked in the top 50 among the over 9,000 cultivators participating in the Eroding Moon Ancient region in the entire Langia Star region. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't be able to do anything to her. However, things were different for Moon Song and Red Oriole. Although the 2 of them had damaged quasi-divine source artifacts, it would still be very difficult for them to withstand the attacks of powerhouses. For example, if they encountered the 6-winged golden beings, their trip to the Eroding Moon Ancient region would basically be over. No matter how Moon Song tried to escape, she wouldn't be able to escape from the other party's grasp. She had no other choice but to retreat. In fact, she might not even have the time to do so, there was a condition to retreat from the advancement zone of the eroding moon ancient region. That was, if there were no other foreign races within a radius of 300 meters, she could directly retreat. Otherwise, the eroding moon ancient region wouldn't allow cultivators to directly retreat. Therefore, even if she wanted to retreat, she would need to be extremely agile and have extremely strong foresight and perception. Fortunately, Moonsong's strength wasn't too bad. At her current transcendent realm, the starlight in the 9 firmaments could completely break through the spatial barrier. Of course, this was when she was alone. She could use the starlight in the 9 firmaments alone to pass through some spatial barriers, but she couldn't bring others with her. Otherwise, Long Yu wouldn't have needed to use the path of the 9 netherworld to destroy the spatial formation barrier. She could have just teleported there. With such an ability, it wouldn't be particularly difficult for Moonsong to escape at a critical moment. However, she still had to be careful. If she wasn't careful, there might just be people waiting for her at the place where the starlight in the 9 firmaments teleported to. That would be the end of her. As for Red Oriole, her deduction ability had become her greatest trump card in the advancement area. She had to spread out her power of deduction, covering at least a radius of 1,000 feet around herself, so that she could keep track of the movements of the other non-humankind beings in the surroundings. Otherwise, it was extremely likely that she would be killed by other powerful non-humankind beings. After all, in terms of absolute strength, Red Oriole's strength was basically at the bottom among all the foreign race powerhouses who could enter the advancement zone. In the advancement area, she could only rely on her deduction ability to search for opportunities to see if she could open a few treasure chests. It was basically impossible for her to enter the next area. As a matter of fact, out of the 30,000 foreign races that participated in the Eclipse Moon Ancient Domain, only 100 of them were able to advance to the next region. On one hand, there was the limit of points, and on the other hand, there was the limit of strength. The limit of strength was also the limit of points. Without strength, you wouldn't be able to kill the other races, and you wouldn't be able to get enough points to continue. Even if it was an extremely wretched existence with superb concealment methods, it would be very difficult for them to advance to the next area if they weren't strong enough. Among the 7 regions of the eroding moon ancient region, there were 3 starting regions, and the 4th region was the advancement region. In the 5th region, the cultivators could obtain extremely heaven-defying items. However, it was not so easy to enter the 5th region, let alone compete with other experts in the 5th region. On the other hand, Concubine Yu's request was to enter the 6th or 7th region to obtain the inheritance of a divine spirit expert. With her current strength, it was basically impossible for her to do so. It would already be very good if she could advance to the 5th region, but if she could obtain some good things in the advancement region, it wouldn't be impossible. Moreover, the key to obtaining these things depended on luck. No one knew what conditions were needed to obtain the legacy of a god. No one knew what was in the 6th region, either. Perhaps someone would be able to obtain it? Taking a step back, Consort Yu's main reason for coming to the eroding moon ancient region was to find an opportunity to break through. The legacy of a god was not that easy to covet, but there were many opportunities to break through to the demigod level. It was rumored that every time the eroding moon ancient region opened, there would be a group of talented existences who could comprehend the opportunity to break through and step into the demigod level. Among the 14 demigod experts of the human race and the demon race, one of them had broken through to the demigod level in the eroding moon ancient region. Moonsong and Red Oriole, on the other hand, wanted to carefully mingle around the promotion area. The matter of killing other races to increase their points was basically impossible for the 2 girls. After the 4 of them split up, it was basically impossible for them to kill other races. However, it wasn't impossible for them to continuously advance and open treasure chests to accumulate points. Consort Yu was here to find an opportunity to break through to the demigod level, while Long Yu wanted to enter the 5th region and plunder as many treasures as possible for his future cultivation. It was said that the 5th region of the eroding moon ancient region contained many treasures that were precious to the demigod level. Even if he obtained just one, it would definitely become Long Yu's trump card in the future. There were even martial arts techniques of the gods in the 5th region, which were things that could not be obtained in the outside world no matter what. Ordinary martial arts techniques of the gods were a level lower than the forbidden skills of the ancient gods, but they were slightly easier to cultivate. Long Yu had no idea where the Juyo Dragon Emperor's forbidden skills of the ancient gods came from, but there was no doubt that it was an extremely rare existence in the entire Langyastar region. Even ordinary martial arts techniques of the gods could only be obtained in the 5th region of the eroding moon ancient region. Not to mention the forbidden skills of the ancient gods, which didn't even exist in the eroding moon ancient region. Of course, many people had heard of the forbidden skills of the ancient gods, but it was basically impossible to cultivate them on their own. Although Long Yu already had the cultivation method of the forbidden skills of the ancient gods, he was still looking forward to obtaining other martial arts techniques of the gods. After all, martial arts techniques of the gods were existences that surpassed unbounded level martial arts technique. In fact, they were even stronger than unbounded level martial arts technique. Although it was more difficult to cultivate than unbounded level martial arts techniques, it was only natural. If it wasn't difficult, how could it be so powerful? The 4 of them each had their own goals, but if Long Yu wanted to reach his goal and enter the 5th region, it wouldn't be easy. His overall combat strength wasn't particularly strong. At most, he was just a little stronger than Red Oriole and Moonsong. If he wanted to kill other outsiders and earn points, Long Yu would have to be extremely careful. Looks like I'll have to keep incorporeal incarnation active after I reach the advancement region. Otherwise, if I get ambushed by something like the golden 6-winged being, I'll be dead. Long Yu thought to himself. Fortunately, he had fused the shadow essence into the innate mystique fruit of the Book of Shadows. Incorporeal incarnation consumed very little energy, and he could continue to advance in this state. If he encountered a good opportunity, he could immediately reveal himself and reap the rewards. Of course, if he didn't kill everyone present, there was a high chance he would be killed. His appearance would give others a chance to perform divination, and when it came to divination power, Long Yu wasn't a match for the other 7th stage sovereigns. Therefore, even if Long Yu possessed the ability to transform into nothingness, it would still be extremely difficult for him to continue forward. 14 days after the 4 of them arrived at the advancement region, they finally discovered that the white walls surrounding the sealed room were starting to weaken. At the same time, a teleportation formation gradually formed in the middle of the room. Looks like the advancement region is about to open. Everyone, get ready. Remember to leave alive. Long Yu exchanged glances with the 3 girls and said with a grave expression, "Emitim, don't worry. If you don't die, I won't." Red Oriole covered her mouth and giggled. This lass, Long Yu smiled at her and began to pay attention to the formation of the teleportation formation. He directly turned incorporeal and headed to the place where the teleportation formation was forming. He was prepared to be teleported out. He wanted to go to the advancement region as soon as possible. If he was fast enough, he might be able to get 1 or 2 treasure chests first. As for Consort Yu and the other 2 women, they didn't dare to do the same. Even Consort Yu didn't dare to rush to the front of the group. Everyone knew that those at the front were the strongest geniuses from the 3 starfields. Every one of them was at least as strong as Consort Yu. If the 3 women rushed to the front, they would be courting death. Even Consort Yu didn't dare to be in the limelight. However, the golden and silver 6-winged beasts that Long Yu saw were very likely to rush to the front. After all, they were very strong. As long as they didn't get attacked by opponents of the same level, there wouldn't be any accidents. Soon, the teleportation formation was completely formed. Even though Long Yu had turned incorporeal, he couldn't escape the detection of the eroding moon ancient region's teleportation formation. When the teleportation formation was completely formed, Long Yu was directly teleported out. In the next moment, a void appeared in front of Long Yu. In this void, he could see some starlight from afar. Some were purple, some were white, and some were black. Could these starlight be treasure chests? Long Yu's heart skipped a beat and he frowned slightly. If the entire advancement region was a void like this, there would be too much freedom. It was very likely that some of the foreign tribes would gather together. If that was the case, the situation wouldn't be good for Long Yu. However, Long Yu soon realized that his worries were unnecessary. This was because the place he was teleported to was only a division of the advancement region. In such a division, there would at most be one cultivator from each race. In other words, there were a total of 200 divisions in the entire advancement region. It was enough to assign all the individuals of each race to different divisions. In that case, it would be impossible for them to unite. In this single division, there will at most be more than 200 foreign tribes from the 3 starfields. However, there are at least 200 treasure chests in this void. In his incorporeal state, Long Yu flew directly toward the nearest purple starlight. The purple starlight was the purple crystal chest. This was the purple crystal chest in the advancement region. It was very likely that there would be a complete divine source item or even other treasures of equivalent value. Chapter 1523. As Long Yu dashed towards the amethyst box, the starting point of the advancement area behind him also flashed with white light. Warriors of other alien tribes were being teleported there. As Long Yu moved forward, he observed the white lights behind him. He discovered that there were a total of more than 40 white lights. In other words, there were more than 40 different outsiders that had arrived at the advancement area he was in. Just more than 40, Long Yu had some doubts in his heart. However, when he thought about it, he realized that it was normal. There were more than 40 outsiders in the same region. If there were a total of 200 regions, then there would be 8,000 outsiders in the advancement region. Including the Langya star area, the 3 star areas had about 30,000 people in the eroding moon ancient domain. In other words, 1/4 to 1/3 of them had entered the advancement area. This ratio was about right. Without a doubt, Long Yu was running in the front. In this advancement area, the distance between each treasure box was much farther than in the starting point. It was even more than 1,000 miles. Moreover, if he wanted to rely on teleportation within 100 zhang, he wouldn't know how long it would take. It was better to fly towards the destination directly. In the process of Long Yu leaping, he had already counted the number of treasures in the entire void space. After all the treasure chests were shining like stars. There were 15 amethyst boxes, 30 white jade boxes, and 155 obsidian boxes. Altogether, there were exactly 200 of them. To open each treasure box, it would cost at least 10 points. The value of the treasures in the advancement area was different from the treasures in the starting point. Thus, in the advancement area, it would cost 10 points to open the obsidian box, 30 points to open the white jade box, and 50 points to open the amethyst box. Long Yu took the lead, dashing towards the amethyst box closest to him. At the same time, more than 10 alien tribes experts were also flying in that direction. This made Long Yu a little nervous. At this moment, he was in the intangible state, so the other alien tribes wouldn't know his existence. However, once he opened the amethyst box, he would be noticed and would be seen as a great enemy. After all, an existence that could avoid their senses was definitely a potential threat. Not to mention that he had opened an amethyst box directly. Long Yu's mind spun, and he thought of a pretty good idea. He continued to maintain his lead, and before the others arrived, he threw out a dark creature. Under Long Yu's control, the dark creature opened the amethyst box and fished out the content. Long Yu kept that thing in his pocket dimension and then urged the dark creature to self-destruct. Without a doubt, even though this dark creature was only a modified dark creature, it was still a 6th phase Great Dominator. If it directly self-destructed, even if its power was limited by the eroding moon ancient region, it would still be enough to completely erase the aura of the item fished out from the purple crystal chest. After Long Yu succeeded, he ordered the dark creature to self-destruct while he maintained his incorporeal form and flew forward. Behind him were all powerful foreign races with peak 7th phase Dominator realm cultivation. However, they couldn't do anything to Long Yu. In fact, they didn't even know which race had taken away the contents of the purple crystal chest. However, the dark creature Long Yu controlled had the appearance of a hexagonal ice crystal, which was the appearance of the ice god race. Clearly, some people guessed that the person who took away the contents of the purple crystal chest was definitely someone from the Langiastar region. This kind of guess didn't allow them to guess who did all this. Long Yu had already walked far away and was moving to the side. He did not continue to run at the front with all his might, because this kind of thing could only be done once. If he wanted to do it a second time, he would definitely fail because his opponent was prepared. At that time, he might even lose his life. One purple crystal chest is enough. Next, I'll find a chance to kill other alien races and get enough points to go to the 5th region of the eroding moon ancient region. Long Yu thought to himself. He knew very well that if he wanted to go to the 5th region of the eroding moon ancient region, he would need at least 200 or 300 points, even if he didn't loot the chest. Therefore, killing other alien races was a must. Fortunately, once he killed a foreign race in the advancement area, he would be able to obtain half of their point. This way, 200 or 300 points were relatively easy to gather. Of course, this was only for the stronger alien races. For Long Yu, he would have to kill at least 4 or 5 alien races in order to gather 200 or 300 points. Each alien race's strength wouldn't be weaker than Long Yu, so he could only rely on sneak attacks. Fortunately, the entire advancement area was divided into many different regions. The others couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the matters that happened far away. Therefore, Long Yu's next step was to look for those who were relatively remote and had relatively weaker strength. Soon, a 6th phase Dominator alien race was targeted by Long Yu. It was a foreign race that he had never seen before. It should have come from one of the other 2 starfields. However, since it was a 6th phase Dominator, Long Yu didn't have to worry about not being able to defeat it. He just had to sneak attack and kill it. The alien race was like a fish that was 50 or 60 meters long. Its streamlined body was rather low profile in the void. After all, it was hidden in the darkness, and it wasn't very strong, so it was easy to overlook it. Most importantly, it was taking a very secluded route. It was flying towards a white jade chest at the edge of the advancement area. Based on preliminary estimates, it would take another hour to get there. During this time, the 3 purple crystal chests near the center of the advancement area had already been snatched. This was where the competition was the most intense. As for the white jade chests at the edge, there weren't many people eyeing them. After all, there were only 40 or so alien races in the entire advancement area. Even if there were some alien races that didn't enter the advancement area immediately, there were at most 50 or so. Half of them thought that they were very strong, so they directly headed towards the center where there were the most treasure chests. Along the way, they killed and snatched treasures to maximize their profit. As Long Yu slowly flew towards the 50 or 60 meter long fish, he checked the item in the purple crystal chest he had just opened. When Long Yu saw it, his eyes narrowed. This thing just happened to be useful here. The purple crystal chests in the advancement area definitely didn't contain ordinary items. The item that Long Yu spent 50 points and a lot of effort to snatch was a pitch-black fruit. This fruit contained extremely dense creation power. It also contained the power of a type of prophet-rank shadow divine text. Long Yu could feel that the creation power in this fruit was at least 20 to 30 times that of a first-grade heavenly crystal-grade creation item. It was equivalent to a supreme-grade creation item. This was something that couldn't be obtained in the outside world, no matter what. The territories of the human race and the demon race were considered rich in resources. However, treasures that contained so much creation power probably only appeared once in 100 years. How could Long Yu get it? Furthermore, as Long Yu observed the fruit, he received a piece of information. The power within the fruit could be immediately absorbed and comprehended. As long as one ate the pitch-black fruit, they would be able to use the creation power within it and instantly cultivate. Furthermore, they would be able to comprehend the power of the Enlightenment-grade Umbra Divine runes. This made Long Yu extremely shocked. Although he didn't know what kind of fruit it was, he still ate it immediately. The good stuff obtained in the Eclipse Moon Ancient Domain was naturally extraordinary. After Long Yu ate this fruit, the creation power in it surged into his body frantically. However, Long Yu didn't use this creation power to improve his martial arts realm. Instead, he used it to cultivate the secret martial arts technique of the Devil Dust Heart. Currently, the Devil Dust Heart was at the 6th level. If he wanted to upgrade it to the 9th level, he would need a huge amount of creation power. This was also the reason why Long Yu hadn't tried to upgrade the Devil Dust Heart. But now it was a great opportunity for him. He would definitely use it to improve his strength if he could immediately absorb the creation power in the fruit. He had just made a breakthrough in his martial arts realm. It was impossible for him to improve again. Now, the only thing that could use so much creation power was the secret martial arts technique of the Devil Dust Heart. The difficulty of cultivating the Devil Dust Heart had always exceeded Long Yu's expectations. Although this fruit contained a huge amount of creation power, the speed at which it upgraded the Devil Dust Heart wasn't fast. The progress was improved bit by bit. After consuming about 1/7 of the creation power, it finally upgraded to the 7th level. Then, 2/7 of the creation power was consumed to reach the 8th level. Finally, 4/7 of the creation power was consumed, just enough to upgrade the Devil Dust Heart to the pinnacle, the 9th level. One had to know that the creation power contained in this fruit was 20 to 30 times that of a first-grade heavenly crystal-grade creation item. If he didn't consider the need to stabilize his realm, then after eating this fruit, it would be enough for the current Long Yu to directly upgrade to the 7th stage Great Ruler. He would even have more than half of the creation power left. From this, it could be seen how difficult it was to cultivate the Devil Dust Heart, as expected of something from the Eclipse Moon Ancient Domain. This way, I have a greater chance of killing the other alien races. Long Yu's eyes flickered. In addition to upgrading the Devil Dust Heart to the pinnacle, he also comprehended a prophet-level shadow attribute divine text from this pitch-black fruit. This shadow attribute divine text was called Dark Flow Divine Text. Although he had just obtained it, Long Yu had completely comprehended it. The degree of comprehension was as perfect as that of the Prophet Level 9 Nether Divine Text. However, as for what effect it had, Long Yu didn't know. He could use it to deal with that long fish alien later. After eating a fruit, Long Yu's strength had greatly improved. The main thing was that the Devil Dust Heart had reached the pinnacle, giving rise to an extremely heaven-defying secret martial arts technique. Chapter 1524. For the time being, Long Yu did not know the effects of the Dark Current divine characters. However, he was still looking forward to the peak technique of the Devil Dust Heart. Just like the Balanced Control and the Pure World Body, these two secret martial arts techniques had been upgraded to the peak of the 9th layer. They had given birth to a powerful technique. The Demon Dust Heart was naturally the same, But the difficulty of cultivating the demon dust heart was much higher than those two secret martial arts techniques. This also led to the devil dust heart actually giving birth to two special secret techniques when it reached the peak of the 9th level. The first technique was the devil dust doppelganger. It was different from an ordinary doppelganger. Due to the powerful ability of the devil dust heart, the doppelganger formed would have the same strength as the original body. In other words, if a devil dust doppelganger was formed, Long Yu's battle strength would directly double. Moreover, the enemy would not be able to distinguish which was the doppelganger and which was the real body, because the two were basically exactly the same. Within the doppelganger's body, there was also a small devil dust heart. This allowed the doppelganger to rapidly reconstruct its body after being injured. However, the speed of reconstruction was slower than Long Yu's real body. Only by relying on this point could the enemy distinguish between Long Yu's real body and doppelganger. And to form a devil dust heart doppelganger, the speed of reconstruction was as fast as Long Yu's body. In other words, according to the current devil dust heart martial arts technique, Long Yu had reached the 9th level. He only needed 3 breaths to be able to form a devil dust doppelganger. Of course, if Long Yu's own body was completely destroyed, he only needed 3 breaths to completely reconstruct it. When the devil dust heart reached the peak of the 9th level, the second technique derived was the devil dust body possession. This was a standard defensive method. It could activate the power of the devil dust heart, covering the surface of one's fleshly body with a layer of devil dust's power. As for what exactly this power was, Long Yu did not know. However, he knew that the power of the devil dust heart was extremely strong. I wonder, how is the defensive ability of the devil dust body possession? Long Yu thought in his heart. Even if he had high expectations for something that he had not tested, he could not rely too much on it. He had to have the time to test it out first. At this time, he was only a few hundred meters away from the 15-meter-long fish. The 15-meter-long fish leisurely moved forward, completely unaware that it was being watched. Then, it looked at the white jade box in front of it with a look of anticipation. After all, this was the white jade box in the advancement area, and it would be opened in half the journey. Most importantly, for the time being, there were no other strange races that wanted to fight with it for the white jade box. It could totally take it for itself. If he didn't go for more treasure chests in the center and walked to the more remote edges, the competition would indeed be much smaller. However, this also meant that if he was targeted, the possibility of escaping during the chaos would be extremely low. Long Yu had thought of this point, which was why he went to the remote side to kill those who looked weaker and had no competition. The 15-meter-long fish had the cultivation of a 6th phase dominator. It was not a race from the Langya galaxy, so Long Yu had no idea what abilities it had. However, Long Yu had the pure world body. To a large extent, he could avoid some strange methods. Adding on the fact that his physical body was not weak, Long Yu could deal with whatever methods the other party had. As Long Yu approached the other party, he gradually revealed himself from the state of nothingness. This made the 15-feet-long fish seem to have sensed something. Without a doubt, the person who dared to sneak up on it was definitely not a weakling. At the very least, this person had confidence in his own strength. This made the 15-feet-long fish seem to be a little flustered. However, it quickly sensed that the person who had come was a 4th phase dominator of a strange race. He was not from their galaxy, nor was he a member of any of the powerful races from the other 2 galaxies. This made the fish very happy. A 4th phase dominator actually dared to target it? Although it was only a 6th phase dominator, and not a 7th phase dominator, even a 15-meter-long fish like a 6th phase dominator could easily defeat an ordinary 7th phase dominator. How could a 6th phase dominator, who could reach the eroding moon ancient region's advancement region, be a simple person? However, the 15-meter-long fish did not know that although Long Yu was only a 4th phase dominator, His methods far surpassed ordinary seventh phase dominators. Strike first, gain the upper hand. Everyone believed in this principle. The 15-meter-long fish sensed Long Yu's presence and immediately used its technique. It used the power of the water element. In an instant, pillars of water were condensed and shot towards Long Yu at an extremely fast speed. These water pillars could even pass through space. After all, water-type origin power was the foundation and source of spatial divine runes. Being able to pass through space was not a big deal. When the water pillars attacked, Long Yu did not have time to react. The opponent's attack speed was just too fast. However, when the water pillars landed on Long Yu's body, they did not land on his devil dust heart. Although the majority of his body was blasted to smithereens, Long Yu completely recovered in 2 breaths of time. Of course, while Long Yu was reconstructing his body, the 15-meter-long fish was not idle. Water-type origin power continuously condensed and appeared around Long Yu. There was a total of 7 whirlpools. Each whirlpool was very similar to the void burial flow that the Nether Void Dragon Blade used. Their power was also comparable to the void burial flow. If Long Yu was caught in one of them, he would definitely die. Fortunately, the opponent's 7 whirlpools were the same as the void burial flow. They needed time to condense and prepare. This gave Long Yu a certain amount of time to prepare. He first reconstructed his body, then quickly condensed the Revelation Level 9 Nether Divine Runes. At the same time, he began to condense the Devil Dust Clone. With the appearance of the Devil Dust Clone, Long Yu's 9 Nether Divine Runes had already finished condensing. Several 9 nether pads shot out and shot at 2 of the whirlpools. Then, the spatial disintegration power of the innate magic power directly disintegrated the water-type origin power whirlpools. Next, Long Yu and the Devil Dust Clone moved together. The 9 nether pads directly shot out and disintegrated the remaining 4 water-type origin power whirlpools. There was only 1 water-type origin power whirlpool left, but it was too late. It directly exploded between Long Yu and the Devil Dust Clone. The terrifying power instantly engulfed Long Yu and the Devil Dust Clone. However, it was unable to cause any destructive damage to the two. On Long Yu's body, he directly used the Devil Dust Possession. A layer of pitch-black dust-like substance directly covered Long Yu's entire body, turning him into a black man. However, the defensive ability of this method was indeed very strong. The opponent's move, which was similar to the Void Burial Flow, exploded right next to him. The terrifying power even caused the surrounding space to distort. However, Long Yu and the Devil Dust Clone were both possessed by the Devil Dust, so they did not suffer any damage. The defensive ability of the Devil Dust Possession was clearly very strong, especially for Long Yu. The current Long Yu had relatively few defensive methods. After the Devil Dust Possession, he could be said to be proficient in all aspects. He did not have any obvious weaknesses. In the past, he could only use the Wild Battle Celestial Barrier to defend himself. However, to be honest, the Wild Battle Celestial Barrier was only a derivative of a body-tempering martial technique. Its defensive ability was not particularly strong. Compared to the Devil Dust Possession, the defensive ability of the Wild Battle Celestial Barrier was not even half of the Devil Dust Possessions, even after stacking 100 layers of the Wild Battle Celestial Barrier. Therefore, when Long Yu directly used the Devil Dust Possession, its defensive ability was comparable to the Wild Battle Celestial Barrier after stacking 200 layers of the Wild Battle Celestial Barrier. When the 15-meter-long fish saw that Long Yu had not been injured by its Void Burial Flow technique, it was a little surprised. However, at this time, it did not have the time to be surprised. This was because it was Long Yu's turn to attack. Long Yu and his Devil Dust Clone activated the 9 Nether Divine characters in their bodies at almost the same time. Long Yu's main body activated the 9 Nether Sphere and condensed it, restricting the 15-meter-long fish's movements by about 30%. Immediately after, the Devil Dust clone activated the Boundless Grasp, instantly sealing the power in the opponent's body and pulling it in his direction. The 50-meter-long fish was almost unable to use any of its strength. However, in the next moment, the 50-meter-long fish's body flickered with a pale blue light, and a pale blue crystal-like object appeared. As soon as the crystal-like object appeared, a burst of pale blue divine characters erupted. It was a prophet-level spatial divine character, derived from the water primordial power. The burst of pale blue divine characters did not erupt from the 50-meter-long fish, but from the pale blue crystal-like object. Therefore, even the sealing power of the Boundless Grasp could not restrict it. However, the 9 nether spheres still managed to slow down the eruption of the object's power by 30%. This pale blue crystal-like object was obviously the 50-meter-long fish's battle weapon, and it was a top-grade unbounded battle weapon, on the same level as the ancient dragon's skeleton tower. The burst of the pale blue divine characters directly severed the connection between Long Yu and the 50-meter-long fish, causing the Boundless Grasp to immediately lose its effect. He could not even use the third section of the Boundless Grasp. However, in the next moment, Long Yu continued to activate the 9 nether divine characters. The 9 nether path was once again used, and its ability to disintegrate the spatial divine characters showed its effectiveness. It directly disintegrated the pale blue light, and all of this took only 2 breaths of time. The Boundless Grasp continued to be used, and the dark current divine characters that Long Yu had just comprehended from the mystical fruit were also activated. In the next moment, the dark current divine characters directly erupted from the 50-meter-long fish's defenseless body. In that instant, countless pitch-black stripes appeared on the 50-meter-long fish's originally pale blue body. They constantly circled the surface of its body, and the dark current divine characters directly exploded in the fish's body through the third section of the Boundless Grasp. Chapter 1525. Long Yu didn't know if the dark current divine text had any special effects before. It was reasonable to say that this kind of divine text was derived from the metal element's primordial power. It was on the same level as the 9 underworld divine text and the forest devil divine text. It was very likely that it would have some special effects, such as the destructive power of the forest devil divine text towards the soul. Now that Long Yu had used the dark current divine text with the Boundless Grasp, he immediately felt the energy within the opponent's body begin to leak out. The dark current divine text can cause the opponent's energy to continuously leak out. Long Yu's heart shook. He was rather satisfied with the effect. Satisfied. Of course, he had to be satisfied. After all, this divine rune was only a side effect of the mysterious fruit. To be able to completely comprehend such a revelation-grade divine rune, Long Yu had undoubtedly picked up a great bargain. As Long Yu's dark current divine text blasted into the opponent's body, the Boundless Grasp's effect exploded. The opponent's core energy began to leak out. At the same time, Long Yu used the dark current divine text again. This time, it was the forest devil divine text. The opponent realized that the situation was bad and wanted to escape, but it was pulled back by the Boundless Grasp. Then, the forest devil divine text completely exploded out from the opponent's body. 4 symbols death prison. Countless lines of death surged out. Moreover, they were used by Long Yu and the Devil Dust clone together. Previously, the Boundless Grasp had also been used by Long Yu and the Devil Dust clone together. They didn't give the opponent any chance. Under Long Yu's double attack, the 15-meter-long fish was completely unable to resist. Now, both its soul and mind were suffering extremely heavy blows. Forest Devil Divine Text and 4 Symbols Death Prison were more than enough to deal with a 7th phase ruler, let alone a 15-meter-long fish that was a 6th phase ruler. At this time, as Long Yu watched the 15-meter-long fish's soul and mind being continuously destroyed, his heart shook. He noticed his Devil Dust clone, and thought to himself that it was rather difficult to condense in battle. After all, it needed 2 or 3 breaths of time to condense. But couldn't he condense some devil dust clones in advance and place them in the pocket dimension, and then directly activate them in battle? Long Yu sensed that if he wanted to maintain such a demon dust clone, he would need to consume a lot of energy. If he condensed 2 demon dust clones, then he would basically use up all the energy in his body every hour. This level of consumption caused him to give up on the idea of condensing a demon dust clone. After all, he would have to stay in the advancement region of the eroding moon ancient region for at least 10 days. If he were to maintain the demon dust clone for such a long time, Long Yu wouldn't be able to take it. Therefore, he shook his head and checked the score he had just obtained. In the advancement region, killing a foreign race member would give him half of their points. The 15-meter-long fish in front of him had clearly just entered the advancement region and hadn't even opened the boxes yet. This meant that it had at least 100 points. Long Yu glanced at it. After killing the 15-meter-long fish, he had gained 62 points, bringing his total to 146 points. This was a lot. Long Yu was very satisfied and turned around to fly forward. At this moment, because Long Yu was flying in the direction of the 15-meter-long fish and fighting for some time, the majority of the foreign races had already retreated far away. The 3 closest purple crystal boxes had already been opened. At the same time, in the advancement region, 2 people had chosen to retreat after being injured. 3 people had already died in the chaotic battle. Of course, those who had died were all foreign races. Using the word human to describe them wasn't too appropriate. However, this casualty rate also caused Long Yu to be somewhat apprehensive. One had to know that those who were able to compete in the advancement region were the elites of their race. Now that they had died here, it was clear that the competition in the eroding moon ancient region was too fierce. In the advancement region, Long Yu didn't see any familiar opponents. There were only a few familiar races. For example, there was an Ice God Races Peak 7th Stage Sovereign Expert, and a Machine Races Peak 7th Stage Sovereign Expert. Basically, those who could come here and compete for the purple crystal chest in the center were all Peak 7th Stage Sovereigns. As Long Yu chased after the group of people, the distance between the 2 sides decreased. Just now, Long Yu had killed a 15-meter-long fish at the edge. He definitely had a lot of points. This caused many people to want to chase after Long Yu when they saw Long Yu. Of course, these foreign races wouldn't retreat to deal with Long Yu. If they did, they would have to waste even more points. In any case, their advance speed wasn't that fast. As long as they waited for Long Yu to catch up, they would naturally be able to make their move. As for who would be the one to kill Long Yu and obtain the final blow, obtaining half of his points, that would depend on luck and method. Long Yu naturally knew what those foreign races were thinking. Some of the strongest foreign races, such as the machine race, were already far ahead of them. The machine race was the strongest. Moreover, it had just killed 2 foreign races in the chaotic battle. Its points were definitely over 200. With these points, it would be able to continue advancing until it reached the entrance of the 5th region. However, it definitely wouldn't give up on the purple crystal boxes along the way so easily. Right now, it would go up and snatch the boxes first. When the other foreign races caught up, it would have a greater advantage. It would be more efficient in killing these foreign races and obtaining points. This was what the machine race was thinking. However, the other foreign races obviously weren't that stupid. There were already 3 different foreign races that seemed to have reached an agreement. They moved together towards the machine race. Obviously, they wanted to kill the machine race together. Although the alliance between the 3 foreign races would definitely cease to exist after killing the machine race, with the 3 of them working together, the machine race wouldn't be able to dominate the advanced region so easily. Long Yu estimated that the strength of the machine race wasn't much different from Consort Yu's. In fact, it might even be slightly stronger than Consort Yu. In this region, there weren't any other stronger foreign races. That black foreign race, Long Yu noticed a clump of black mist in the middle of the battlefield. That clump of black mist was a member of an alien race. This alien race wasn't from the Langya galaxy and didn't have a physical body. It was said that it was one of the strongest races in the Heavenly Dipper starfield. For the time being, this black fog didn't show any strength. It followed the majority of the foreign races and hid at the edge of the field. It didn't make the first move. Most likely, it was trying to figure out the strength of the other foreign races in the surroundings. It would only make its move after figuring it out. Based on Long Yu's intuition, the strength of this black fog foreign race was above that of the machine race. If they were to fight, the black fog foreign race had a high chance of winning. Most importantly, Long Yu definitely wouldn't dare to provoke the black fog foreign race. Long Yu wasn't even able to defeat Concubine Yu, who he was extremely familiar with, let alone someone he wasn't familiar with who was as powerful as Concubine Yu. Although Long Yu knew that his strength was very strong, but it also depended on the situation. In the advancement area of the eroding moon ancient region, his strength could only be said to be below average. Even if he had just upgraded the Devil Dust Heart to the peak of the 9th layer, it was still the same. His martial arts realm was too low and his basic strength was too weak. It was already very good to be able to reach the advanced region. This had already brought him great benefit. To be honest, even if Long Yu chose to give up and leave the eroding moon ancient region, he definitely wouldn't suffer a loss. However, with Long Yu's character, he definitely wouldn't give up unless it was absolutely necessary. Anyway, he had the ability to turn into nothingness, and he could rely on the Void Spirit Dragon Blade to teleport away. Even if he was controlled, Little Su could fly him away, so he could choose to retreat instantly. In this way, the probability of Long Yu being killed was extremely small. Unless he was killed by the other foreign races in one move, he would have the chance to retreat immediately. Long Yu moved forward while carefully observing the remaining foreign races. There was one from the Ice God clan, one from the Barren God clan, one from the Earth God clan, one from the Abyss clan, one from the Machine clan, and 5 other alien races. They were all from Langya star area and the others were from the other 2 star areas. Because of this, Long Yu's understanding of the foreign races' fighting style was limited. He could only watch from afar. Long Yu was very despicable. He followed the other party from afar, keeping a distance of around 500 zhang. The other party couldn't retreat to attack him, so he was in a state of absolute safety. Although he couldn't get the boxes, Long Yu didn't want them. In these amethyst boxes, even if there was another one of those special fruits, Long Yu would not be able to improve too much. Long Yu's combat strength had basically reached the limit of a 4th stage sovereign. Even if he obtained any treasures, his strength wouldn't improve much. He still wouldn't be able to deal with peak 7th stage sovereign existences. This calmed him down. If he could pick up scraps, then he would. If he couldn't, then he would advance steadily. After killing that 15 zhang long fish, his points would be enough for him to advance for a long time. There would definitely be many injured or dying foreign races in front of him. However, as Long Yu was thinking about that, an alien with the appearance of a greatsword suddenly stopped in front of him. From the looks of it, it seemed as though it was waiting for Long Yu to catch up to it before attacking Long Yu. Sword race. Long Yu's heart trembled. He was a little surprised. The sword race looked like a large sword. The body of the sword was engraved with all kinds of strange patterns. It could release different kinds of power. Moreover, the strength of its body wasn't weak. Even if it cultivated some close combat martial skills, it was still an extremely tyrannical existence. The peak 7th stage sovereign sword race in front of him stopped and prepared to attack Long Yu. It was obvious that it was unhappy with Long Yu following it for a long time. It wanted to kill him and steal some points. However, Long Yu noticed that this sword race was injured in the chaotic battle just now. Chapter 1526. Originally, the sword race was one of the three strongest races in the Langia star zone. The six-winged clan, the mechanical clan, and the sword ancestor were definitely considered as one of the three strongest clans in the Langia star area. There was no other reason than the fact that these three clans occupied the most fertile areas and produced the most cultivation resources. Because of this, the number of demigod experts in their race far exceeded the other races. The human race and the demon race only had 7 demigod experts each. As for the sword race, the six-winged race, and the machinery race, they each had nearly 100 demigod experts. Among them, there were many existences at the peak of the demigod realm. A long time ago, even though the Jiryo Dragon Emperor dared to cause trouble in the outer god race and steal their holy items, it was because there were no super experts at the peak of the demigod realm in the outer god race. In other words, if the Jiryo Dragon Emperor wanted to cause trouble in the sword race, the six-winged race, and the machinery race, it would not be that easy. Perhaps it was because this sword race being was injured, it didn't continue to fight with the other outsiders. Instead, it chose to rest for a moment and wait for Long Yu. If the sword race was able to kill Long Yu, who was a 4th-stage sovereign realm outsider, then the sword race would be able to obtain a lot of points. Although the sword race was participating in the battle, it was very clear that Long Yu had killed a 15-Zhonglong foreign race. He must have a lot of points, at least around 200 points. However, it did not know that Long Yu only had 146 points. 50 points were used to open the first purple crystal box. In the arena, no one knew that the first amethyst chest was opened by Long Yu. They couldn't even guess it. Even if they were told that Long Yu had opened the first amethyst chest, many people wouldn't believe it. It should be known that Long Yu only had the cultivation of a 4th-phase great sovereign. How could he open the purple crystal box in front of so many people? Moreover, how could he hide from the other foreign races? After this sword race was injured, he could only use half of his strength at most. Long Yu's eyes began to flash with the light of calculation. If Consort Yu was half as strong as she was, he might have been able to deal with her. After all, he had a high-grade unbounded technique, the Battle Frenzy Heavenly Body. If he could push Battle Frenzy Heavenly Power to its limits, dealing with an injured swordfolk wouldn't be a problem at all. However, the crux of the matter was that this sword race being was in the process of recuperating at all times. If he waited any longer, the strength of the sword race would continue to rise. If he recovered to his peak state, Long Yu would not be a match for him no matter what. This made Long Yu very conflicted. If he wanted to superimpose Berserk Heavenly Power, he would definitely need a certain amount of time. However, his opponent also needed time to heal. Both sides needed time, and if the battle dragged on for too long, Long Yu would definitely not be his opponent. Long Yu chose to move to the side, but the sword race followed suit. From the looks of it, it had its eyes on Long Yu, not letting Long Yu pass. It wanted to kill Long Yu to obtain the points he had. Then let's fight. Long Yu's heart went cold. Did this sword race really think they had him for sure? When Long Yu had tried to take a detour, he had already begun to condense devil dust doppelgangers in his miniature world. Every 2 breaths of time, he could condense one. As he continued to advance, and when he was within 1,000 feet of the sword race, there were already 6 devil dust doppelgangers in his miniature world. To support 6 devil dust clones in battle at the same time, Long Yu needed a lot of energy. However, he had no other choice. He needed to form enough devil dust clones to quickly superimpose Berserk Heavenly Power. At the same time, he would be able to temporarily pose a threat to his opponent, so that it would have less time to heal itself. That way, Long Yu would be able to shorten the time it took for him to superimpose Berserk Heavenly Power, and at the same time, increase the time it took for his opponent to recover. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The only thing he needed to pay attention to was that Long Yu had to finish this battle as soon as possible. Otherwise, before the sword race could deal with Long Yu's energy would be completely depleted. Although the strength of the Devil Dust clones was comparable to Long Yu, they consumed too much energy. This forced Long Yu to finish this battle as soon as possible, especially now that he had condensed 6 Devil Dust clones. He didn't dare to waste even the slightest bit of time. In fact, every time an incense stick's worth of time passed, Long Yu would need to take a pill to recover his strength. Fortunately, Long Yu could let these Devil Dust clones take the initiative to take a pill to recover the strength of the Devil Dust clones and relieve the pressure on Long Yu. Otherwise, Long Yu's ability to continue fighting in this state would be extremely weak. As Long Yu came within 100 feet of the sword race, the sword race did not hesitate and directly attacked Long Yu. After all, once he was within 100 feet of Long Yu, the sword race could directly teleport to his side. Moreover, if he turned around 100 feet or so, he wouldn't lose too many points. If he was too far away, he wouldn't be able to turn around, but if he was too close, he wouldn't lose too many points. After the sword race did not have to worry about this, he directly attacked Long Yu. Spatial vortexes appeared all around Long Yu. 18 of them appeared at the same time. From each spatial vortex, a clone of the sword race appeared. These sword race clones directly attacked Long Yu. Boundless sword chi blasted out, even sealing the surrounding space. Path of the 9 Underworld. Long Yu released the 6 Devil Dust clones and directly combined their strength to use the Path of the 9 Underworld. The speed at which the surrounding space was disintegrated increased by 7 times. In an instant, Long Yu broke through the spatial seal formed by the spatial vortexes and directly teleported to the front. Mad God's Descent. Long Yu and the 6 Devil Dust clones directly used the Mad God's Descent technique, instantly superimposing 70 levels of fighting heaven power. This made Long Yu's heart jump with joy. They were actually this fast? This was the first time he had stacked the Berserker heavenly power so quickly. In the past, he had to rely on the Berserker Fist Cannon to unleash it one punch at a time. But now, when the Demon Dust clone simultaneously used Berserker God Descends, it was actually able to stack the Berserker heavenly power. This made Long Yu very excited. If that was the case, then when he condensed 10 Devil Dust clones, he would instantly have over 100 levels of fighting heaven power? Moreover, as time passed, the Mad God's Descent would provide Long Yu with more and more fighting heaven power. After about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the Mad God's Descent would superimpose fighting heaven power would reach 15 levels, adding up to a total of 105 levels. However, of course, Long Yu would not just wait for the Mad God's Descent to superimpose fighting heaven power. This was because the strength of the sword race was extremely tyrannical. If he did not quickly get rid of it, the one who would die would be Long Yu himself. Primordial Shadow. Fighting Fist Cannon. Long Yu and the 6 Devil Dust doppelgangers simultaneously unleashed Primordial Shadow, and then continuously blasted out Berserker Fist Cannons towards the spatial vortexes created by the sword race. Every time the Berserker Fist Cannon blasted out, a primordial shadow would be sucked into the spatial vortex. It could be said to be courting death. However, this way, Long Yu's Berserker Fist Cannon was able to stack up rapidly. Almost in the instant that Long Yu broke the spatial seal, countless primordial shadow were thrown into the spatial vortexes and were crushed. However, Long Yu's fighting heaven power had instantly superimposed to 120 levels. There was no need to wait for the time it takes for the Mad God's Descent to increase its effect. Long Yu could directly superimpose fighting heaven power to the maximum. Seeing that Long Yu was actually controlling the primordial shadow to be sucked into the spatial vortexes, this kind of suicidal behavior was clearly out of the sword race's expectations. However, it also felt that the Mad God's Descent was continuously condensing on Long Yu's body. The Mad God's aura superimposed, causing Long Yu's entire body to become extremely oppressive. Moreover, Long Yu now had 6 devil dust clones with him. Right now, each devil dust clone's aura was exactly the same as Long Yu's. They looked like 7 human clones, without the slightest difference between them. In the next moment, countless sword lights erupted from the void around Long Yu. Among these sword lights, some carried the power of ice divine text, some carried the power of fire divine text. Unexpectedly, these sword lights had 4 or 5 attributes at the same time, and all of them were divine text of the enlightenment grade. This shocked Long Yu. As expected of an expert from the sword race, one of the 3 major races of the Langius star field, this genius had actually comprehended so many divine text of the enlightenment grade. Moreover, he had completely comprehended each and every one of them. Countless sword lights completely covered the space within 100 zhang. Even if Long Yu wanted to teleport away, he wouldn't be able to avoid these sword lights. This was because the furthest he could teleport in the eroding moon ancient region was 100 zhang, and the sword race just happened to cover the space within 100 zhang with sword light. It was obvious that it wanted Long Yu to have nowhere to escape. Devil Dust Possession. Battle-mad Celestial Barrier. Long Yu consecutively used 2 defensive skills. Right now, there was no other way. Facing the sky full of sword lights, he could only defend. Fortunately, the opponent was injured, so the attack wasn't very strong. Just relying on Devil Dust Possession and Battle-mad Celestial Barrier wasn't enough to block the sword light. However, Long Yu still had the strongest and most heaven-defying method, and that was domain assimilation. Before, Long Yu had already tried it with Consort Yu and the others. The effect of domain assimilation could be stacked. Now, Long Yu and the 6 Devil Dust doppelgangers gathered together and used domain assimilation together. The stacking effect of 7 layers of domain assimilation weakened the power of the endless sword lights within 100 zhang by 95% with every breath. Next, the power of the sword beams that fell on Long Yu and the Devil Dust doppelgangers' bodies was not even worth mentioning. Let alone the fact that they could not break through Long Yu's Devil Dust doppelganger, even fighting Mad Warrior's celestial barrier took quite a bit of time to break through. Not to mention that Long Yu had cultivated the Devil Dust Heart to the peak of the 9th layer. Even if his body suffered a destructive blow, he could rebuild it in 2 breaths. It wouldn't be that easy for the opponent to kill Long Yu. 9 Underworld Sphere. Long Yu immediately unleashed his 9 Underworld Sphere. The sphere, which was condensed from destruction grade 9 underworld runes, continuously flashed with a pitch-black light. Then, countless pitch-black 9 underworld lines began to restrict the power of the surrounding enemies. Long Yu's counterattack had begun. Chapter 1527. As soon as the 9 underworld sphere was unleashed, countless pitch-black lines instantly covered the surroundings. Everything that the sword race clansman's power was bound by these pitch-black lines and restricted. The sword race clansman's physical body immediately emitted a fiery radiance, and the power of a type of divine-grade fire divine text suddenly erupted. It actually cleared away all the pitch-black lines around it, and immediately after, it swept towards Long Yu. Like a meteor, the sword race clansman's entire body was covered in flames. It charged through the void and instantly arrived in front of Long Yu. However, it was a pity that the sword race clansman didn't know which was the real Long Yu. Its first guess was clearly wrong. It charged towards one of the Devil Dust clansmen, and the tyrannical impact of the meteor directly shattered the Devil Dust clansman. Long Yu didn't care too much. In fact, he wouldn't be too concerned even if his own body was shattered. After all, the Devil Dust Heart had already been cultivated to the peak of the 9th level. The destroyed Devil Dust doppelganger was currently bathed in a sea of flames, leaving behind only a Devil Dust Heart that was still beating. This Devil Dust Heart was only a replica. It was naturally not as tyrannical as Long Yu's original body. However, this sea of flames alone wasn't enough to destroy the devil dust heart. This caused the sword race clansman's heart to tremble. He clearly saw that the pitch-black heart wasn't ordinary. He knew that if he didn't destroy the heart, Long Yu would continue to reconstruct his physical body, and he wouldn't be able to kill Long Yu completely. This was undoubtedly an extremely disgusting method. Moreover, Long Yu had condensed 6 devil dust clansmen, which made it even more helpless. Even a peak 7th stage sovereign realm expert from the sword race felt that it was extremely difficult to completely destroy Long Yu. However, no matter how difficult it was, it had no choice but to destroy the devil dust heart. The sword race clansman's streamlined body was like a long sword, and countless strands of sword chi were condensed and erupted. These strands of sword chi also contained the power of various divine characters, and their attacks were clearly slightly stronger when combined. For example, ice attribute divine characters and fire attribute divine characters. When these two types were used together, they would generally be able to amplify each other's power. As the sword chi swept past, the demon dust clone's demon dust heart met with misfortune. Finally, various cracks appeared on it before it was torn apart. It exploded into a ball of pitch-black 9 nether divine text power before dissipating. Long Yu's eyelids twitched as he watched from the side. He did not know how strong the defensive capabilities of the demon dust heart within his body were. However, without a doubt, it should not be able to defend against the continuous attacks of the sword race. With only the demon dust heart left, Long Yu would not be able to use his incorporeal body technique. He would not even be able to use his innate abilities. By that time, it would be too late. That bastard was able to destroy my physical body with a single move. The destructive power of that meteor form is too great. If it's used on my physical body, I'll have to dodge it, Long Yu thought. However, it was obvious that the sword race would not use the same technique more than twice. After all, the second time he used it, the opponent would be somewhat on guard. After destroying one of the demon dust doppelgangers, the sword race cultivator set his sights on the other demon dust doppelganger. Unfortunately, it was still only a doppelganger. Moreover, at this time, a mass of netherworld divine runes condensed in the nearby void, and in 3 breaths of time, another demon dust doppelganger was condensed. Long Yu maintained 6 demon dust clones on the battlefield. Then, these demon dust clones directly summoned primordial shadows. More than 60 primordial shadows of Long Yu charged towards the sword race and directly used the Berserk Dragon Fist. At this time, Long Yu's Berserk Heavenly Power had been stacked to 160 levels. As for the primordial shadows, they did not need the sword race to deal with them. When they used the Berserk Dragon Fist, they were already unable to hold on any longer. Their bodies were crushed by the tyrannical Berserk Divine Text. Only over 60 rays of light from the Berserk Dragon Fist remained on the battlefield, and they rumbled towards the sword race. The sword race's entire body was covered in a storm of blades, and it swept towards one of the demon dust clones. At the same time, the 60 rays of light arrived in the blink of an eye and landed on the sword race. However, countless rays of light coiled around the rays of light, and they were actually completely crushed by the storm of blade. The sword race was not harmed at all. Boundless grasp. When Long Yu saw this, he didn't stop at all. He and his 6 demon dust clones simultaneously used the boundless grasp. One of the demon dust clones used the Revelation Grade 9 Nether Divine Text, 3 of them used the Dark Demon Text, and 2 of them and Long Yu's main body used the Dark Flow Divine Text. The power of the 3 divine characters was unleashed, and the boundless grasp exploded within the other party's body, sealing the other party's power for a time. If there was only one Long Yu dealing with this sword race being, a single limitless grip would not be enough to seal the power within the sword race being's body. But now, it was equivalent to 7 Long Yu dealing with this sword race being at the same time. Even though there was a huge difference in the basic strength between Long Yu and the sword race, when the power of the boundless grasp erupted at the same time, the sword race would not be able to use any strength for nearly 2 breaths of time. Moreover, the special effects of the Dark Demon text and the Dark Flow Divine text erupted in the next moment. The sword race's spirit and soul were directly injured. Although the injury wasn't serious, it was still an injury. Moreover, the strength within his body began to leak out under the eruption of the Dark Flow Divine text, and the speed at which it was losing was extremely fast. Countless rays of sword chi circulated around the sword race's body. Immediately after, a crystal-like object appeared near the sword race. The countless rays of sword chi condensed on the crystal-like object, and in the next moment, the negative effects within the sword race's body were completely eliminated. This is a divine grade absolute beginning. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. He could see that the divine grade absolute beginning contained pure water-type absolute beginning power. Even with 7 of him joining forces, they were still unable to deal with this sword race being. This caused Long Yu to have a deep understanding of the strength of this sword race being. However, this sword race being was clearly not the strongest. Amongst the experts of the eroding moon ancient region, it could only be ranked within the top 300. Even so, the sword race's various methods and abilities were enough to completely suppress Long Yu. If Long Yu didn't use some of his trump cards, he definitely wouldn't be a match for this fellow. This sword race, how many points does it have? Long Yu thought to himself. Since he was determined to kill this sword race, he could only use less than 60% of his strength before the sword race fully recovered. If he didn't kill it now, there wouldn't be another chance in the future. The sword race had many tricks up their sleeve. However, they had suffered injuries from other foreign races, and they wouldn't be able to recover in a short period of time. Long Yu didn't feel that there was anything wrong with taking advantage of their weakness. In any case, in the Eclipse Moon ancient region, all foreign races weren't on their side. In this advanced region, there were no other humans or monsters. This meant that all the other foreign races were his opponent. If there was a chance, Long Yu really wanted to kill them all. Unfortunately, he didn't have the strength to do so. The foreign races in this region were considered relatively weak. The machine race's strength was equivalent to Consort Yu's, which was enough to dominate this region. It would require 3 foreign races to work together to restrain it. One had to know that in this region, it was difficult for foreign races to communicate with each other. Wanting different foreign races to work together was definitely not easy. Of course, Long Yu could rely on the Void Spirit Dragon Blade to communicate with these foreign races. However, with Long Yu's martial arts realm, these foreign races wouldn't be willing to communicate with him. They looked down on him. Absolute Space Field. At this moment, Long Yu activated his absolute space domain to restrict the movements of that sword race being. Dragon Berserker Fist. This time, it was Long Yu's main body and the 5 Devil Dust clones who used the Dragon Berserker Fist. Instantly, the physical bodies of Long Yu and the 5 Devil Dust clones cracked inch by inch. Obviously, they couldn't withstand the power of the Dragon Berserker Fist. At this time, the sword race was dealing with one of Long Yu's Devil Dust clones. He was almost about to destroy the Devil Dust heart of the Devil Dust clone. At this time, 6 fist lights came from all directions. Instinctively, the being of the sword race activated his defensive skills. A barrier of sword chi coiled around him, wrapping him up entirely. However, it was a pity that the Berserk Dragon Fists were a masterpiece of the Berserk Heavenly Force stacked at the peak of dragon defense. If the sword race being was at its peak, it would have been barely able to block it. But now, with 6 fist lights flying towards it, the sword race being could not block it at all. Although he had activated his sword chi to negate 3 of the fist lights, there were still 3 fist lights that landed on his body. The terrifying power of the Berserk Divine Rune blasted 3 large holes in his body. Some light blue liquid splashed out from his body, which was equivalent to the blood of the human race and the demon race. Boundless grasp. 4 symbols killing prison. Long Yu didn't stop. He used the boundless grasp and the 4 symbols killing prison at the same time. Moreover, he used them together with his 5 clones. They directly enveloped the sword race. The 4 symbols killing prison attacked from the outside and the boundless grasp attacked from the inside. They directly surrounded the sword race. The sword race cultivator defended with all his might. Countless streams of sword chi exploded forth, yet he was unable to defend against Long Yu's attacks. In the end, countless death threads coiled around his body. Coupled with the jungle demon god runes, the limitless grasp exploded forth from within his body. The sword race finally couldn't resist anymore. His spirit and soul were directly destroyed by Long Yu. He fell into a state of death. My points increased by 72 points. Not bad. When he killed the sword race, Long Yu's eyes lit up. In this way, his total points reached 198. It should be enough for him to pass through the advancement area. Of course, the premise was that he didn't open the other treasure chests. Now that he killed the sword race expert, he immediately attracted the attention of the other sword race experts. This made his situation even more dangerous. Chapter 1528. Right now, Long Yu's plan was to open as many treasure chests as possible before he could reach the 5th region. If there was an opportunity to kill the foreign races, he would do it. If there wasn't, he would continue on like this. Currently, he had a total of 198 points. According to usual practice, it should be more or less enough. In the past, every time the eroding moon ancient region opened, there weren't many people who could enter the 5th region. Usually there were only 2 or 3. Therefore, it was extremely difficult to enter the 5th region. Moreover, Long Yu's martial Dao realm was only at the 4th stage sovereign realm. It wouldn't be easy for him to stay alive in such a place, let alone find an opportunity to kill the other foreign races. Opening treasure chests and advancing. Although it was difficult, Long Yu's progress was relatively smooth. After the sword race was killed, many of the foreign races' attention was focused on him. Clearly, many of his techniques were known to them. For example, the Devil Dust clones, 9 Underworld Sphere, and Absolute Space Domain. However, a hidden technique like the Boundless Grasp couldn't be known to others. Long Yu didn't dismiss the Devil Dust clones for the time being because he wasn't sure if he was out of danger. There were many foreign races eyeing him covetously. After all, he had killed the 5 Zhang Long fish and the sword race expert. He definitely had a lot of points. However, those foreign races weren't willing to retreat. The one closest to Long Yu was 500 zhang away. If they retreated to deal with Long Yu, they would have to spend at least 10 points. If the situation changed, it wouldn't be worth it. Long Yu saw that there were many foreign races that had stopped in front of him. They were waiting for him to advance. He felt helpless and could only choose to stay where he was. In any case, Long Yu wasn't in a hurry. He had points now. If he advanced and entered the encirclement of the foreign races, he would definitely die. In any case, Long Yu's position was very clear. No matter what, he couldn't get involved in such a chaotic battle. First, his martial Dao realm was too low. Even the shockwaves from other people's battle could cause great damage to him. Secondly, he had already attracted the attention of the other races. If he barged in again, he would definitely be targeted by the other races. There was no way he could survive. Anyway, we've already attracted the attention of others, Long Yu thought to himself as a gleam of light appeared in his eyes. After that, he took out the Dragon Blood Saint Wind diagram and activated it to completely eliminate his aura. After that, he transformed into nothingness and moved forward. In this state, no one would be able to find him or sense his location. Furthermore, he had also removed all traces of his aura, so it was impossible for others to deduce his location through deduction. If Long Yu appeared in the middle of the battle, and turned into nothingness, then there would be no time to clean up the traces, and the other non-humans would be able to find him easily. But now, the other party wasn't willing to waste points by retreating. This was a very good opportunity for Long Yu. He immediately cleared away all traces of his presence and transformed into nothingness, once again becoming invisible, just like when he first arrived at the advancement area. As soon as Long Yu disappeared, the other non-humans who were waiting for him were all dumbfounded. All of a sudden, the other non-humans stopped waiting and continued forward. However, they were certain that he could disappear into thin air. This guy could actually disappear into thin air. In that case, didn't that mean that the purple crystal box was also taken by this human kid? Even though the other non-humans were aware of this, they couldn't do anything to Long Yu. Whether it was the naked eye, the spiritual sense, or the power of deduction, they couldn't detect Long Yu's presence. It was as if Long Yu had completely disappeared from the advancement area, or he might have chosen to leave. They couldn't possibly focus all their attention on Long Yu. However, everyone present, including the machine, was already on guard when they saw Long Yu disappear. In this state, it was almost impossible for Long Yu to launch a sneak attack. He could only wait for a particularly good opportunity to strike. Otherwise, he could only continue forward and strive to enter the fifth zone. Just by looking at the purple crystal chests in the advancement area and the purple crystal chests in the starting area, one could tell how precious the chests in the fifth area were. If he could obtain the boxes in the fifth zone, then his reward would be the greatest. Long Yu was also a little interested in the inheritance of the gods. However, he also knew that the possibility of him obtaining the inheritance of the gods wasn't high. In fact, it could even be said to be very low. If he were to look forward to this, he would definitely be disappointed in the end. Therefore, his goal was to enter the fifth zone and open some treasure boxes. After that, he would stop while he was ahead and obtain as many things as he could. At the very least, Long Yu felt that the items in the advancement area weren't his limit. He should be able to enter the fifth zone. Very soon, Long Yu passed by the non-humans. Of course, the non-humans couldn't sense Long Yu's presence. They were all still scheming against each other and were cautious. Occasionally, there would be a small conflict, but they would quickly disperse and resolve it. This was because there were currently only over 30 non-humans left in the entire advancement area. The entire area was so vast, and the non-humans were relatively far away from each other. Moreover, there weren't any treasure boxes nearby, so there were fewer conflicts. However, in front of him, an hour later, 2 amethyst chests would appear side by side. At that time, there would definitely be many outsiders fighting over them. That would be one of Long Yu's chances. Who knows, he might even be able to fish in troubled waters and kill one of the outsiders, gaining some points from there. After an hour, many non-humans arrived near the 2 purple crystal boxes. However, they didn't dare to make a move at the moment. Instead, they stopped beside the 2 purple crystal boxes. Even the strongest machine didn't make a move. Instead, it chose to watch from the side. This was because even that machine knew that if it was the first to open the box, there would definitely be other alien races that would join forces to attack it. Even the strongest machine race wouldn't dare to become the target of such a public attack. Under Long Yu's incorporeal state, it was definitely impossible for him to open the amethyst chest. Furthermore, he currently had less than 200 points on him. If he opened the chest, he might not be able to reach the 5th region. It should be known that according to the experience of the predecessors, the treasures in the 5th zone weren't placed in the boxes. Instead, they would appear directly in front of you. You wouldn't even need to spend points to take the treasures. This was what Long Yu wanted to see. Now that he had to deduct points to take a box, it wasn't that good for people like Long Yu who were weaker. After all, it was too difficult for Long Yu to kill other non-humans. Therefore, Long Yu hid near the 2 purple crystal boxes. He was about 2,000 feet away. Within 2,000 feet, there were about 20 non-humans in a stalemate. As for the other non-humans, they didn't want to bother with the 2 purple crystal boxes. They directly passed by and continued forward. After all, those non-humans knew that they wouldn't be able to gain any advantage in such a chaotic battle. Therefore, they couldn't be bothered to participate. At this time, Long Yu observed, the non-humans in the field were really strange. The members of the mechanical race were covered in silver light and looked very beautiful. They were like something that Long Yu had seen in his previous life, Transformers. There was no need to doubt their strength. At the very least, they were on the same level as Yu Fei. There was also the Ice God race, Desolate God race, and other foreign races. They fought fiercely in the outside world, but in the eroding moon ancient region, they actually joined forces and formed a small group. It wasn't that easy to target this small group of foreign races. At least, even the strongest machine race didn't dare to do so. There was another race whose body was completely in a liquid state. It was almost transparent and didn't stand out among the other non-humans. However, Long Yu had seen this foreign race fight before. It had forcefully swallowed another non-human race into its body and wrapped it in a transparent liquid. It was actually digested while it was still alive. It was obvious how terrifying it was. The black fog foreign race that had been wandering at the edge of the field came to the side of the 2 purple crystal chests. However, it didn't seem to have any intention of opening the 2 purple crystal chests. Instead, it was waiting for the right time. Long Yu observed the situation of each non-human race in the field and roughly estimated the situation if they were to fight later. There were more than 20 foreign races gathered here. Only a small part of them were here for the 2 purple crystal chests. Most of them wanted to kill other non-humans to obtain more points. Only by obtaining more points could they open more chests and obtain more treasures. Therefore, the other non-humans were the real targets of these powerful existences. Long Yu was clear about this. Therefore, he wasn't anxious at all. These foreign races would definitely fight each other. The only difference was whether it was sooner or later. Right now, the thing that Long Yu didn't lack the least was time. The longer he stayed here, the more stable Long Yu's martial Dao realm would be. If he waited for a month, Long Yu would open another creation, and it would definitely allow him to step into the 5th stage Great Sovereign Realm. When the fight starts later, there will definitely be foreign races that are seriously injured and want to escape. If they escape in my direction and want to retreat, then I can just stop them and kill them. Long Yu's position was relatively at the back. From a psychological analysis, if there were seriously injured foreign races that wanted to escape, they would most likely come from this direction. Chapter 1529. Long Yu hid in a good spot and prepared to watch the clash between the foreign races in the center. With 2 purple crystal boxes around, the clash would definitely break out. The only difference would be who would make the first move and who would expose their weakness first. Beside the 2 purple crystal chests, there were stronger and weaker outsiders. But even the weaker outsiders were waiting for an opportunity, hoping to take advantage of the chaos to take advantage of the situation. On the other hand, the stronger ones were choosing their prey in the dark. If any of the weaker ones showed any weakness, they would most likely be killed. Long Yu was extremely patient. If these foreign races didn't make a move, Long Yu could keep them waiting. He didn't have to worry about the time limit in the eroding moon ancient region. After all, there was no time limit in the advanced region. Apart from the 1-month limit in the starting region, there would be no time limit in the regions after the eroding moon ancient region. The only limit was the point. Just like that, Long Yu hid in the shadows and observed the situation. Every single action of the outsiders, or rather, every single action that they displayed, fell into Long Yu's eyes, allowing him to make preparations in advance for any eventualities that might occur. In front of him, the other 20 foreign races that didn't participate in the clash had already flown thousands of feet away. And the foreign races that stayed behind didn't make a move. If they didn't make a move, the foreign races in front of them would reach the other purple crystal boxes. Of course, without points, they wouldn't be interested in opening the treasure boxes, unless they were people who only wanted to make a fortune in the 5th region. However, the powerhouses who could come to the advanced region were basically very picky. Most of them wanted to go to the 5th region. The 5th region was where the competition was the most intense. All the powerhouses were gathered together, and the treasures they could obtain were also the most valuable. Just as Long Yu was paying attention, the situation on the stage suddenly changed. The first to make a move wasn't the machine race or the stronger foreign race in the Black Fog. Instead, it was the foreign Protoss alliance. There were mainly an ice god, a desolate god, and an earth god among the foreign god clans in this advancement zone. The temporary alliance formed by these 3 foreign god clans was extremely powerful and could even surpass the individual combat power of the machine clan. Therefore, the 3 foreign god race beings joined forces and prepared to attack. Their target was a peak 7th stage sovereign realm alien covered in metallic light. This alien wasn't from the Langya star field, but its aura was a little chaotic. It was obvious that it was injured. Pick the soft persimmon and pinch it. This was a principle that everyone understood. In any case, everyone had points on them. No matter what, killing one was one. If the 3 Ouroboros joined forces to deal with this metallic light alien, there was basically no suspense. However, their movements had become the fuse that ignited the entire chaotic situation. As soon as one of the 20 outsiders made a move, the others who were already nervous were thrown into chaos. Some of the things that they were planning were immediately brought forward, and the power of countless divine runes exploded forth. The battle royale in this advancement area had finally begun. This battle royale basically determined who would be the final winner in this advancement area. The final winner was, of course, the expert who killed the most opponents, obtained the most points, and opened the most boxes. Long Yu didn't want to be in the limelight. He just wanted to pick up some heads in the chaos. That was enough. As for killing 2 or even 3 outsiders, Long Yu also knew that with his strength, it was completely wishful thinking. Such an opportunity had come from the very beginning. The metallic light alien that was besieged by the 3 foreign god tribes looked like a rocket. Obviously, it was wearing the special attire of its race and looked very cool. However, this injured alien was only left in a sorry state. After all, it was already very difficult to fight 1 against 3, not to mention that it was already injured. Therefore, it basically didn't last long. This alien fought while retreating, using all kinds of method. Many clones condensed to block the Ice God race and the Desolate God race respectively. It was only facing the Earth God race alone, so the situation was still okay. It wouldn't be completely killed for the time being. However, this alien was still observing the situation on the battlefield as it retreated. It didn't completely give up the idea of taking advantage of the situation. And this gave Long Yu a chance. Long Yu was originally hiding in the direction of the opponent's retreat. Now that the opponent's attention wasn't on his back, if Long Yu suddenly launched a surprise attack, the possibility of killing it in an instant was definitely not low. Of course, the opponent was in existence at the peak of the 7th stage Great Ruler Realm. If Long Yu acted rashly, he might fail miserably. After all, the superimposed wild fighting heavenly power on his body had long disappeared. Without the extremely powerful wild fighting dragon fist, if Long Yu wanted to kill the opponent, he basically had to combine the boundless grasp and the 4 symbols killing prison. However, Long Yu wasn't sure of the opponent's specific strength and whether it had a trump card. Therefore, even if he suddenly used these 2 methods in a sneak attack, he couldn't guarantee that he would definitely be able to kill the opponent. And once Long Yu was exposed, he would have to face more than just this alien. Therefore, even in the face of this opportunity to sneak attack, Long Yu still held his breath. Unless it was a 100% successful sneak attack, Long Yu wouldn't make a move. Although the alien that retreated was retreating, it definitely hadn't lost its combat strength. Otherwise, it wouldn't be thinking about fishing in troubled waters, but choosing to retreat and escape. Facing the joint attack of 3 alien races at the same time, the pressure would definitely be great. Under such pressure, this metallic alien still had the thought to take advantage of the situation. It was obvious that it definitely had many tricks up its sleeves that it hadn't used. If Long Yu really jumped out to launch a sneak attack, he would really be naive and foolish. The opponent kept retreating, and very soon, it almost retreated to the vicinity of Long Yu. However, Long Yu held his breath and didn't make any moves. Instead, he looked at the overall situation and observed the overall situation. Basically, the 20 or so alien races present were divided into 6 or 7 groups. Some of the groups worked together to surround and attack, while some of the groups were completely in a chaotic battle. There was only one place that was special. The black fog alien directly swallowed a mud-shaped alien, and then the mud-shaped alien went completely silent. Of course, the black fog alien needed time to completely digest the mud-shaped alien. Therefore, after the black fog alien swallowed the mud-shaped alien, it quietly hid at the side and didn't continue to participate in the battle. This way, there were many alien races that had their eyes on the black fog alien. Evidently, even though the foreign being in the black fog had just devoured a soft mud foreign being, its battle prowess had been restricted. That was because some of the alien races in the black fog were familiar with their devouring method. Once they devoured a powerful opponent, the alien race in the black fog would need a period of time to digest it. Only then would they be able to kill the opponent completely. Otherwise, they would only be able to seal the opponent's power. As for the black fog alien, it could only devour one opponent at a time. Of course, the method of judgment was based on the opponent's spirit. Only by completely destroying the opponent's spirit could it continue to devour the next opponent. Therefore, at this time, there were 3 or 4 alien races that had their eyes on the black fog alien. They knew that it wasn't too much of a threat for the time being, so they wanted to completely eliminate it. When Long Yu paid attention, he found that the black fog alien's battle was all about spirit attack. Obviously, it was the same as the soul race. If they used some physical attacks to deal with the black fog, it would have no effect. This black fog alien was similar to the soul race, but its body was condensed from black fog. Compared to the soul race, which had no body at all, it still had some form. Although it was floating, it was still a body. Long Yu observed the battle for a while, and found that the black fog alien's spirit power was extremely strong. Even though there were 3 powerful alien races attacking it at the same time, they couldn't break through its spirit defense. Even if it couldn't launch a counterattack, it was impossible for the black fog alien to be defeated in a short period of time. This phenomenon made Long Yu narrow his eyes. If these alien races all used their spirit power, then Long Yu could have a chance to take a risk. Of course, this contained great danger, but if he succeeded, it would be a great harvest. What Long Yu wanted to rely on was the secret martial art of the pure world body, and most importantly, the pure world soul mirror at the peak level. Now, Long Yu must have been remembered by these alien races. Once he appeared, there would definitely be many alien races chasing after him. After all, he had killed the 5 Zhang Long fish and the sword race expert, so he must have a lot of points on him. In this case, once he appeared near the black fog, he would definitely attract the attention of those alien races, and they would attack him. Now, the only thing that Long Yu was worried about was that these alien races were using spirit power to attack each other. But if Long Yu appeared, would they use other methods instead of spirit attacks? If that was the case, the rebound effect of the pure world body would be completely ineffective. No matter what, Long Yu couldn't act now. At the very least, he had to wait until the black fog alien race and the other alien races' battle reached a climax. In the battlefield, the machine race expert was fiercely attacking an abyss race expert. That abyss race expert resisted with difficulty and kept retreating, but it didn't retreat towards Long Yu's direction. This made Long Yu feel that it was a pity. Otherwise, Long Yu could have tried to sneak attack this abyss race expert. Chapter 1530. The situation on the battlefield became more and more intense. Half an hour after the battle started, some of the alien races started to get injured. The place that Long Yu paid the most attention to was the location of the Black Fog alien. After approximately the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the Black Fog alien had finally completely digested the soft mud alien that it had swallowed into its body. Next, the Black Fog alien race finally used all kinds of technique. Without exception, all of them were mental attacks, and it fought against the alien races that were besieging it with mental attack. Moreover, it launched a counterattack. There was no doubt that the Black Fog alien race was powerful. In terms of one-on-one strength, the Black Fog alien race and the Machine race were among the strongest alien races in this advanced zone. Therefore, as soon as the alien in the Black Fog attacked the other alien races, it immediately showed off its abilities. Endless black fog rolled out, containing an unparalleled spiritual and soul-destroying power, and the three alien races were all sucked into it. Of course, even for a powerful being like the Black Fog alien race, it would not be easy for it to fight against three alien races alone in the advanced zone. Moreover, even if the Black Fog alien race could defeat the three alien races, it would not be easy for it to kill them. Most importantly, this is the eroding moon ancient domain, Long Yu thought to himself. The alliance between the three alien races was definitely not solid. If one of them was slightly weaker and fell into a dangerous situation first, it was very likely that its teammates would turn around and kill it, just to get half of the points it had. Therefore, the alliance here was not reliable. Everyone was acting for their own interests. Even if they temporarily joined forces, they would not always join forces, as accidents were most likely to happen at critical moments. After all, the three alien races were only from the Wild Sand star field, so they had some understanding of each other, which was the basis for them to join forces. However, outside the eroding moon ancient domain, in the Wild Sand star field, the three alien races were also enemies with each other. It was just like the alliance between the three alien races. In the eroding moon ancient domain, they could temporarily ally with each other, but once they left, they would be enemies. Moreover, if there was a good opportunity for them in the eroding moon ancient domain, they would not let it go. Therefore, both the Black Fog alien race and the Machine race powerhouses who were besieged were very clear about this. Their counterattack was completely focused on one of the opponents, and they completely ignored the other opponent. This was the most likely way to disrupt the other party's formation and cause the other party's temporary alliance to reveal a flaw. Otherwise, even the Black Fog alien race and the Machine race would have a hard time fighting against the three of them alone. Long Yu constantly observed the situation in the field, and at the same time, he kept thinking about the idea that had popped up in his mind, thinking about the success rate. Timing was the most important. If he completed this mission, Long Yu could simply charge forward at his fastest speed and ignore everything else. Of course, the prerequisite was that this mission had to be completed successfully. Long Yu pondered and calculated without end. In the end, he was sure that so long as he grasped the right timing, he would be able to complete the plan in his heart. As time passed, the battle between the alien in the Black Fog and the three opponents was in full swing. Moreover, one of the alien beings that looked like a flower was constantly being attacked by the alien in the Black Fog, and the destructive power of the alien's mental power completely surrounded it. If one of the opponents was seriously injured and threatened, it would be very inconvenient for Long Yu to make a move. First, it was equivalent to having one less opponent, so the chances of Long Yu gaining a lot would be reduced. Second, it was possible that the opponent's attention would not be focused on Long Yu. Let's wait a little longer. Long Yu controlled his temper and continued to wait. He hoped that the demonic flower alien race fellow would be able to break out of its current predicament and not be killed so easily by the black fog alien race. Fortunately, the demonic flower alien race immediately retreated when it realized that it was in great danger. Countless green, red, and yellow vines quickly waved around its body, and the vines surged with surging wood origin power, which blocked the black fog's mental attack. Once the demonic flower alien race retreated, the black fog alien race could no longer chase after it, because the other two alien races were attacking. This was the time. Long Yu's heart moved, and he finally decided to take a risk. When he transformed into nothingness, he appeared beside the foreign flower demonic being and used the boundless grasp and the four symbols slaughtering prison on it. He acted as if he had been hiding at the side, and when he saw that there was an opportunity to kill the demonic flower alien race, he suddenly attacked and wanted to take advantage of it. However, the demonic flower alien race reacted just as he appeared. Moreover, the other two alien races and the strongest black fog alien race reacted at the same time. These alien races knew that Long Yu had killed the 15-foot-long fish and the sword race expert, so they knew that he had a lot of points. At this moment, the four alien races experts, including the black fog alien race expert, attacked Long Yu at almost the same time. This was because they all knew that a mere rank 4 great ruler would definitely not be able to withstand the combined attack of the four of them. The only difference was who would be able to take Long Yu's head. As for the demonic flower alien race, it was facing Long Yu's attack at this moment, and it didn't care at all. The red, yellow, and green vines all over the demonic flower's body began to dance. The wood elemental primordial power wrapped around its entire body, instantly purifying the negative effects of the dragon's imperial realm grip. Even the damage to its soul and mind caused by the dark demon divine text did not harm it at all. As expected of a race that focused on the research of mental power, Long Yu thought to himself, but it wasn't out of his expectations. He looked like he wanted to sneak attack the demonic flower alien race, but in reality, his target was all four alien races present, including the black fog alien race. Even the demonic flower alien race looked injured, but in reality, it was completely faking it. When it saw Long Yu, it immediately exposed itself and attacked Long Yu at the same time, wanting to take away Long Yu's head. Long Yu had already seen through most of the four alien races' tactics, and he knew that if he suddenly appeared, the four alien races would most likely use their most common tactic. After all, it was a subconscious action in that instant. Therefore, the position where Long Yu appeared was very clever. The distance between him and the four alien races was completely different. He was the furthest away from the black fog alien race, and the closest to the demonic flower alien race. However, the shocking thing was that the four alien races' attacks landed on Long Yu's head at almost the same time. This was because Long Yu had factored in the speed of the attacks of the four foreign race experts into his calculations. That was why the scene that followed shocked all the foreign race experts present here. The four alien races were completely using mental attacks to fight each other. Therefore, when Long Yu appeared, the four alien races subconsciously used their mental attacks to deal with Long Yu. In other words, the four alien races were most proficient in mental attacks, and if they used them to deal with ordinary weaklings, they could basically kill their opponents with one move. It was the most straightforward. However, they didn't know that this gave Long Yu an excellent opportunity. World-cleansing soul mirror. At this time, Long Yu directly used the world-cleansing soul mirror, and in the next moment, all the mental attacks of the four alien races were reflected back. This was Long Yu's biggest plan. He wanted to kill the four alien races at the same time and earn a lot of points. Although this would attract the attention of other alien races, most of the alien races present were in an intense battle now, and it would not be so easy to stop. Moreover, if Long Yu succeeded in this, he would definitely have the highest points out of everyone present. At that time, who could catch up with him directly? Even if the others wanted to chase Long Yu with all their might, they had to consider whether their points were comparable to Long Yu's, and whether it was enough for them to chase Long Yu all the way. Therefore, the difficulty lay in how to use the world-cleansing soul mirror cleverly at the same time to kill the 4 alien races at the same time. Previously, Long Yu had observed for such a long time, and of course, there were results. He directly predicted the thoughts of the 4 alien races, and made some deductions and research on their respective methods. This also led to the 4 alien races' mental attacks on Long Yu being reflected back by the world-cleansing soul mirror almost at the same time. Moreover, the time that Long Yu chose was when the 4 alien races had consumed most of their energy. Now that the opponent's mental attacks were reflected back 10 times, before the 4 alien races could react, they had already suffered heavy damage in terms of their mental and soul. Because they wanted to use the fastest speed to kill Long Yu in one fell swoop, the methods they used were basically the fastest and had the strongest soul-destroying power. This way they would be reflected back 10 times, and such a terrifying speed and soul-destroying power would descend upon their bodies. The others in the field saw that when the world-cleansing soul mirror appeared, the white light beside Long Yu flickered, and directly caused the surrounding 4 alien races to fall into a great crisis. At this time, Long Yu finally released the 12 devil dust clones that he had prepared in the pocket dimension for a long time. These 12 devil dust clones were condensed when he was preparing to act. Now that they were released, 3 devil dust clones formed a group and launched attacks at the 4 alien races. The limitless grasp and the 4 symbols slaughtering hell activated by the dark demon divine runes rapidly condensed in the field, and the lines of death rapidly wrapped around the 4 alien races. The 4 demonic beings had already been severely injured by his own rebound technique. Now that Long Yu had directly executed his technique, the destructive power of his spirit and soul had instantly reached the extreme. If it was any other time, Long Yu's attacks wouldn't be able to harm any of the 4 alien races at all. Just like the demonic flower alien race from before, it could easily resist Long Yu's attack. But it was different now. In the next moment, Long Yu received a notification from the Eclipse Moon Ancient region. His points had risen 4 times in a row, and this meant that he'd killed all 4 of the outsiders in the battlefield. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.